Hello, and welcome to the Punch Show. Hiya, Harry. How you doing? Hope you're doing good. Um, Hope everybody had a good weekend. Want to talk about a few things today, and the main thing I'm going to concentrate on today is that Donald Trump is objectively making America much less safe. I was thinking about this because on the one hand, he runs this whole fear-based campaign. Like everything is, oh, be afraid of this, be afraid of that, be afraid of everything. And then the end result is we are less safe objectively on many different levels than we were prior to him taking office. But before I go into that, I want to share something with you if I can pull this up. There's been a lot of
When most people hear that war in the Middle East is driving up gas When most people hear that war in the Middle East is driving up gas prices, they picture oil wells. I know I did. I assumed countries like Iran mostly exported crude oil and the rest of the world refined it into gasoline. But that's only part of the story. Think of it like bread. Crude oil is the wheat. Refineries are the flour mills. You don't just need wheat. You also need enough milk.
There we go. I'm back. All right, so I hope. Okay. I'm almost back. Okay. There we go. All right. Sorry about all the confusion. I refreshed the screen and everything is back. So anyway, I was going to show you something, but I think I'm going to give up on that for right now. I don't know what the problem was. Boy, amateur hour up in here, I'm telling you. Thanks, Harry. I appreciate the joy. So yeah, my camera just like blanked out for some reason, and I don't know what happened. And then I tried fiddling with the dials and stuff, and eventually I just refreshed the browser and it worked. So here I am. So anyway, I wanted to talk about a few things today. One of the things is just there is this whole thing about Mamdani, and he's getting so much, like there's some allegedly some people from the 9/11 families that want to say that he shouldn't go to the 9/11 memorial because, you know, he's a Muslim, as though there weren't Muslims that died in the 9/11 attack. So I got to thinking about this. You know who shouldn't be allowed to go? Is Donald Trump. I need you know, Harry, if I were making enough money off of this to pay somebody, I would absolutely do a producer. And I'd probably do a better scene than me sitting in my recliner, although that's becoming my niche. I've thought about just making it my show, middle-aged man ranting from recliner. It's a nice, comfortable chair anyway. If you're going to do it from a recliner chair, you might as well make it a good chair. But yeah, I got to thinking about this, and Donald Trump should actually be the one that isn't allowed to go. You know why? He's the one with all the ties to Saudi Arabia and to the Middle East and to, you know, I mean, not all of these people are necessarily terrorists, but I mean, he's the one that's got more ties to all that than Mamdani. Mamdani's not the one embracing the Islamic politics. Mamdani's actually pretty much very opposite of the Islamic thing. he's like pro LGBTQ and stuff. So Trump backed down again as far as opening the gates of hell because China would get involved and USA is out of munitions. Right. So this is getting into what today's show is. Maybe I'll just skip the whole Mamdani thing. And we'll talk about that another time. Donald Trump is making America objectively less safe. Objectively, on many, many levels. We are nowhere near as safe as we were when he took office. And I say that for several reasons. Number one, there is the his whole attack on the military, right? He's about 30 to 40%, depending on how you count it, 30 to 40% of the senior military in since he has taken office has been replaced largely because either they were too black, too female, or too woke. And you know, you can't you need to have the hate. You got to have the hate if you're going to lead the military. I don't know what makes people think that Pete Hegseth is even remotely qualified to lead the military. And he posts these videos of him bench pressing. Like, I don't care how much my Secretary of Defense, and it is the Secretary of Defense, not the Secretary of War. I don't care how much they can bench press. I honestly, if I wanted to get somebody that could bench press a lot, I'd get some guy that plays center for the Dallas Cowboys or something. You know, I wouldn't, like, if it's not a bench pressing competition. Get a power lifter if that's what you want. I want somebody that understands warfare and understands defense. And Hegseth understands neither. I think it's 12. There's about, depending on how you count it, there's about like 40-ish, 30 to 40 people that are like the most senior leadership in the military. And Hegseth has replaced at least a dozen of them. And he's replacing people that, you know, won't commit war crimes for him. And, you know, like they're either, you know, they have too much skin pigment. They're females. He won't promote, you know, I think all of the female admirals and generals are gone now. And that's actual intelligence. Like, I mean, like, when I say intelligence, I don't mean like military intelligence. I mean actual intelligence, like actual understanding, decades and decades of understanding how war works and what is going on. You can't just replace that with somebody that doesn't like woke. You need actual understanding to run the military. Ask me, I don't know him. I'm not going to lie and say that I understand, but that doesn't mean Hegseth does. And that doesn't mean they don't. It's like all these people that are like, oh, it's got to be merit-based. And it's like, what makes you think that they didn't have the merit? Like, you can't just say you don't have the merit and they got hired because they're black. You're just assuming that, right? Where is your basis for that? You go and you look at their performance reports and stuff, and they've all got glowing performance reports. There's nothing in there to indicate they didn't earn it through merit. They got fired because they were black. They got fired because they were women. And that's why we need DEI. because you got people like Hegseth that thinks if you're a black or a woman, you can't be qualified. You got people like Charlie Kirk, who sees a pilot who's black and he's in fear for his life because he's an idiot. Well, not in fear for his life anymore. So, I mean, that's number one. Just the military is just, we have lost competence in our military. We have lost competence. Just a lot of competence has been drained out of our military based sheerly on hate. And so that's one reason we're less safe. Number two, we're less safe because we've depleted our military readiness. All these weapons, all these missiles that have been used in Iran. Now we do not have the missile defense system that we once did. We used it. I know that Trump is denying it. I know that they're saying other stuff. I know that they're blaming it on Biden. I know that they're saying that it's because we gave everything to Ukraine, but we don't, like, they're like, oh, well, we gave it away to Ukraine. And by the way, we still have it, but, they're just doing this Gish Gallop thing where they throw out 15 different excuses that are all bad excuses. And then they just try to move along, like they try to run through it really fast before you can respond to anything. So let me explain a few things. First of all, the munitions we gave to Ukraine and the munitions we're using in Iran are different things. They're different weapons. We didn't give Ukraine Tomahawk missiles. We didn't give Ukraine the weapons which we are using in Iran. We gave them like munitions. All right, so that's number one. The things we're running out of are not the things we gave Iran or gave to Ukraine. That's number one. Number two, when we gave those things to Ukraine at the same time, we got funding to replace those things, and it's been years. It's been a year and a half since Biden left office. So there's been plenty of time to replenish what we gave Ukraine, and the funding was already there. So that excuse doesn't work. And number three, even if it were the same materials that we gave to Ukraine and they were still depleted, then that should mean that you know that before you go and start a war with Iran. So it doesn't even make sense. Your excuses don't even make sense, Trump administration. Of course, that's never shocking that you guys just sit there and make up stuff and yell and scream and holler about it, and then blame Biden for all your own incompetence. But yeah, sorry, this has nothing to do with Ukraine or Joe Biden. This is 100% because Donald Trump decided he was going to start a stupid war, and your entire stupid administration was too stupid to say no, except for J.D. Vance. And now he's the one that's the bad guy. Not like I like J.D. Vance, but at least he did say something. Oh, yeah. So Pentagon has revised wounded numbers to now over 600 in conflict. Wow. I hadn't heard that. I know they tried to like redefine how some people were like they weren't combat casualties because they happened during a ceasefire, which I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean. They're no less dead no matter how you classify them. And they're dead as a direct result of Donald Trump starting a war that never needed to be started. Wang Yi, the foreign minister of China, said that a massive escalation threatened by Trump when he said he would open up the gates of hell would bring China directly into war. I did not know that. I did not know that China said that. I don't know exactly what he means by opening up the gates of hell either. How does one open up the gates of hell? What is that supposed to mean? Okay, I'm trying something. No, I tried to work on how to move these captions, but it didn't work. So, oh, hang on. Let's see. No, that didn't work. All right. Sorry about the caption thing or the comments thing. I tried to move them and it didn't work the way that I wanted it to. I figured out how to move them if they're just scrolling along, but you can already see that. Trump spent all night posting over something like 150 times in a psychotic rant of AI pictures and gibberish. Like the one where he's like saving George Washington from falling off a cliff and he's at Mount Rushmore, but there's no Abraham Lincoln there because in his fetished imagination, Abraham Lincoln never freed the slaves, I imagine. And in this one, both he and Washington owned slaves. It's just so weird. It's so weird. The things they do, the things they say, everything about MAGA has just become completely deranged and weird. They have absolutely no grip on reality whatsoever at all anymore. And he is just happy to replay all that nonsense. China aren't stupid enough to get involved in the stupid war. No, but they're smart enough to make a threat. But if China were to go and attack Taiwan right now, would we be able to do anything about it? It's just another way that we're less safe. Everything that Donald Trump is doing is making us less safe. It's making the world less safe. It's making Europe less safe. So the second thing is that he's depleted our stockpile of weapons. So he's first is the brain drain on our military. The second thing is the reduced stockpiles. The third thing is in weakening our alliances with countries like England and Europe. They're not sharing intelligence with us anymore on a number of different fronts because they don't trust him. And who would? Even his own wife doesn't trust him. So that's number three. And we're not talking about like casual alliances here. We're talking about Canada and Europe. We're talking about the closest friends for the last 50 years. And he's rather hang out with, North Korea and Russia and China than Europe. I wouldn't have Pete Hegseth manage a Cracker Barrel. Speaking of which, Cracker Barrel CEO is stepping down. I did not know that. China is probably the most geopolitically smart country in the world at the minute. Yeah, well, it certainly isn't us. China already is. They are supplying. Yeah, and that's true. They're supplying Iran, and so is Russia. Ukraine is trying to help us, but we're too stupid to let them. They want to show us how to fight off the drones. The Ukraine is like become experts at this drone technology, and we won't receive their help because we need to use our big huge weapons and stuff. Because we have plenty of money to kill children in Iran. We just don't have enough money to feed children in America. They're supplying Iran, but they won't get involved directly. It would be a massive mistake. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Chinese troops or Chinese aircraft in Iran. I don't think anybody's confused about that. Truth be told, as a tech supplier, but they might have threatened to, They might have. I don't know. China and Iran have had a relationship. Truth be told, as a tech supplier myself, China has missiles that have intercontinental range with payload capacity to carry nukes. Oh, I think they've had them for a long time. I don't think that's like a new thing. China is the new superpower. It's plain and simple. China is on the verge of becoming a superpower ahead of us, with its importer being Muslim countries. Well, I think we've got to be careful. A third of the world is Muslim. It's like we make Muslim out to, let's not use words like Muslim to mean something derogatory. It's not a pejorative. It's a religion. The U.S. is still, of course, some people would think any religion is pejorative, but Muslim people are no more violent than Christian people, maybe less. The U.S. is still a superpower, but China is now also a superpower, and Russia has become a pretend superpower. Yeah, Russia is not a superpower. But Boris, I mean, in reality, right now, Boris Yeltsin might be the most powerful man in the world. I mean, if we're being objective, I think he has more control around the world than Donald Trump because he controls Donald Trump. I think we're more of a toothless lion at this point. At this point, yeah, I mean, we can't do anything because we just wasted our whole arsenal on a stupid war in Iran that we never had a fight. And I think that we have to acknowledge warfare has evolved beyond what we have built up. Like, I wonder if why do we still need to spend all of this money on defense spending when you've got like much cheaper, more effective ways of having defense? Why don't we just go all the way into the drone thing? I mean, not have to be 100%, but we could be a lot more cheap. We could be a lot cheaper, a lot more effective. And then we could have money for things like healthcare and Social Security and feeding children and, all those insane things that socialists want to do. All we have left is MAD. Mad. Opinions on Trump. Yes, I have opinions on Trump. I think almost everybody does. Thank your parents they voted idiot into office in the 80s, 90s that offshored production and created all the problems we have today. Damn globalists. Okay, Randall. I voted in the 80s and 90s. And we never said a man can become a woman. Oh, hey, just put Randall came in just out of the box insulting trans people. So if one of the mods wants to put him on a 24-hour timeout, that'd be fine with me. Ukraine is the last stronghold against Russia taking over all of Europe. Yep. That's the one thing that they don't want to talk about when they're always talking about how Ukraine, all this nonsense about Ukraine, is that Ukraine is a part of U.S. national security. To be honest, Russia is ahead of the U.S. in terms of biological and chemical weapons. I don't know anything about that. We don't have biological and chemical weapons. At least we shouldn't. So, I mean, nobody should. They're a war crime. So I'm not gonna, I don't know that Russia has them, but I know that they've assassinated some people using stuff. But that's not an arms race I want to get into. Fortunately, Ukraine is taking out 30,000 Russians per month on the front. Average life expectancy of Russian at the front is 20 to 30 minutes. And, Putin is starting to get some backlash from the Russian people. Also, as Biden left office, all of the reserve factories were starting to kick in to replenish stockpiles. Right. All that money they're like saying went to Russia. Actually, what went to Russia was not or to Ukraine was not money. What went to Ukraine was the weapons and the munitions, and then the money that we spent was on replacing those weapons and munitions. And so it's been a year and a half since Biden left office. There's been plenty of time for all those munitions to be replaced. And if they haven't been replaced and we needed those to attack Iran, why did we attack Iran? Why didn't we consider that into our war planning? It's just a way to blame Biden, even though it doesn't even make sense on like 5 different levels. Right. The stockpiles being depleted are 100% because of Donald Trump. Has nothing to do with Joe Biden. The weapons we gave Ukraine are not the same weapons that are depleted. All Trump had to do was just sit back, and he could have coasted and taken credit. but he had to tear everything up and try to add a few extra ingredients and then put his own name on it. That's what he does with everything, right? He just puts his name on stuff and acts like he invented it. Kind of like Elon Musk, actually. Like, Elon Musk didn't invent PayPal. Elon Musk didn't, he's not a rocket scientist. He didn't invent SpaceX. He didn't invent Tesla. All he does is just take credit for stuff other people did and own it. Trump is trying to put his name on Penn Station in New York right now. That is just... If anybody ever loves you as much as Donald Trump loves Donald Trump, then you are truly loved. Literally, all he had to do was sit there and take the credit, but he is too much of a moron to do that. He's an idiot that thinks he can do everything better. The administration is playing numbers games. They're trying to avoid war powers resolution. Oh, yes. And so this one, they're like saying that because, the war powers resolution has a deadline. And so they're saying that, okay, well, this is like a different war than the first war. We had the war, then we had a ceasefire, and now we have a different war. No, that's not how the law works, buddy. But of course, you got the cowards in the U.S. Senate, the Republicans that have like not a sack among them that will not stand up to him and just say no. Take it from Nancy Reagan. Take a page from her book. Just say no. Say no to Donald Trump. And they were also counted, I believe, because the 60-day clock ran out and he rescheduled it like a golf mulligan. Yep. I guess if you just don't go a day without bombing anybody, and then it starts all over again. Gates of hell is probably a euphemism for nukes. The thing is there's a verse in the Bible that talks about the gates of hell will not prevail against the builded church or something like that. The gates of hell are a defensive thing. It's like you don't open the gates of hell, you close them. Right? You don't open them, you close them. You might release the hounds of hell. But anyway, it's just another mixed metaphor. He never knows what he's talking about. You don't close the gates of hell or open the gates of hell. You close the gates of hell. The idea is to keep things out. You stupid idiot. Not you here, Brett, Donald Trump. Like, does he understand that? Like what gates do? I mean, God knows what the Russians are giving the Iranians. They are that desperate for equipment, so they're taking it off of North Korea. Yeah, they're getting help from North Korea. But if anybody in NATO gave troops to Ukraine, then it would be World War III, right? Here we are at the end of July in the so-called Gulf states. We're supposed to, Here we are at the end of July in the so-called Gulf states where we're supposed to be protecting still have skin in the game. And why are we wasting our blood and our guts? And here's the thing. Those Gulf states that we're supposedly protecting, Donald Trump and his family have gotten $4 billion from since the start of his second administration. Jared Kushner has gotten $2 billion. Donald Trump Jr.'s got his, and Eric Trump, they have their own like cryptocurrency stuff that's funded by them. Donald Trump has his free airplane that he flies around, and which is, by the way, going to cost us more money now. It's like we're all worried about Mamdani being like this big danger. He's going to be the one that's the danger of the Muslim world is going to come through Mamdani. No, it's going to come through Donald Trump. They own him. Saudi Arabia and all these countries, they own Donald Trump, and if they own Donald Trump, they own America. North Korea used 1960s military equipment. I mean, it's totally pathetic. Might have some advantages since it's not hackable. Things have a desperate feel lately. It used to just be gross incompetence, but now it's getting scary, imminent. It's like, I was thinking, it's like if you get in a car and the driver is drunk and you're like trying to say, don't let the drunk guy drive. And then all the Republican senators are like going, no, it's cool, man. It's cool. See how drunk he is? And then he's just like driving faster and faster and he's speeding towards a wall. And it's like incompetent, but you've also got enablers and you've also got like real legitimate danger that you're going to hit that wall. And once you hit that wall, everybody's dead. There's nothing you can do about it. We are in so much danger right now. America has not been less safe in my lifetime than it is right now. And it's all because of Donald Trump. I think there is a serious argument to be made that almost all of the best countries on earth are majority Christian and a lot of the worst are majority Muslim. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get into like Islam. I think, there are just, I don't want to get into that. I think that the best countries on earth are they're non-religious. They're not anti-religious. They're just non-religious. Religion is not the factor in the leadership. I think that once you start getting religion involved in your politics and you start getting politics involved in your religion, everything is messed up. I think that the best countries, the most successful countries, the freest countries are the ones that don't mix those things up. Like the UK doesn't anymore. Back in, I don't need to tell you about your history, but it's not like England doesn't have a history of politics and religion getting mixed up and a lot of people dying as a result of it. And let's not forget like colonialism and all of that kind of stuff. Christians have killed a lot of people. Like, and it's not until we started getting religion out of the politics and politics out of the religion that things got cleared up. So I don't think it has anything to do with Christian or Muslim. Back before, while Christians were running around killing everybody in the colonial times, the Ottoman Empire, which was Muslim, was actually the most tolerant government, more tolerant than any of the European governments. So, I mean, I just think it's more about not having religion in the politics than it is about what the religion is. Another MAGA congressman just tossed boiling water at his ex in 2024. Wow. I hadn't heard about that. Now he's in trouble for fracturing a child collarbone or something. Did you get his name? Did you get who it is? I didn't get the full story as I was going today. Definitely an evil cult. I give Rand 30 minutes. Rand Paul? What do you mean you give Rand 30 minutes, Kelly? Although I think the definition of chemical or biological weapons is very much broad. Technology in warfare has always run ahead of tactics. Everyone fights the last war. The mistakes were made during the Civil War. It was made in World War I. Yep. And I think that we've always been like bigger weapons has always been better, but now I think it's more nimble. What's smaller, what's more nimble. Drones don't actually, you don't have to risk, your personal resources. Drone pilots don't actually have to worry about getting killed in combat. So even if you lose the drone, you don't lose the pilot. If you lose a pilot of an airplane, you lose the pilot as well as the airplane. There's so many advantages. Why are we still following? Like why are we committing to building massive battleships and stuff like that? We should just go all the way into the smaller, lighter, more nimble kind of warfare and save a bunch of money. Instead, we're sitting there, we want to spend $1.5 trillion now. For example, almost every Western police force uses tear gas to control riots and things like that, but no Western military can have it because it is a chemical weapon. I mean, that's stupid. I don't know anything. I know when I was in the military, we trained against people attacking us with tear gas. We actually had to, you practice your gas mask and you actually have to breathe in some tear gas to know what it's like. And it's really unpleasant. Basic economics is not changing. Labor costs move manufacturing away. Regulations move manufacturing away. Yeah. It's Randall. Who is that guy? There used to be a guy that was on the news that would rant about this stuff all the time. Literally, socialized food and housing reduces violence. Yes, that's actually a good point. I shouldn't say actually a good point. I hate it when people say actually, like, oh yeah, that's actually a good point. Like, wow, who would have thought that Dusty could have come up with a good thought? That is a good point. It's not actually a good point. It is a good point. Reduces violence. One of the few things you can have an auxiliary of, and also have a capitalist market, mostly unaffected and thriving alongside it. And these things actually raise the floor. I say this a lot. We need to raise the floor, not lower the ceiling. I found it. U.S. Representative Max Miller of Ohio tossed boiling water at his ex-wife and recently fractured their daughter's collarbone. Has MAGA come up with the, well, what did they do to deserve it? What's the context? I love it when stuff like this happens and it's like, well, I need to hear both sides. Like as though there's this other side of like breaking your daughter's collarbone. I'm sure that if you go on Twitter and you look at some of the threads on this, you will see, well, what was the context? Like there's some justifiable context that exists. The only justifiable context is if she's about to kill somebody and he just did it to save someone's life. But I have a feeling that's not what happened. MAGA Max Miller of Ohio. I would say make him famous, but nobody's getting famous by me mentioning him on this stream. Y'all see, yeah, you know what? It's actually been fairly it's been all friendlies today. Except for the one dude. You'll see how there's a philosophical slop, political slop YouTubers that are like Fox News was given a thesaurus. It's why I say long words should be red flag usually. Yeah, usually like MAGAs usually have trouble with words that are polysyllabic. Some folks get fooled by long words because they are afraid to look dumb, like that busyness speak. Like Stephen A. Smith. He always uses these words and he always misuses them. Kofif. That's a 2-syllable word. Dumb has a B in it. Me, genius. Yeah, that one. Like the way that he figured out that dumb has a B in it, and he was just like, had this, like epiphany. And then it was like, oh, did you know that dumb has a B in it? And so then it's like he was like teaching everybody how to spell dumb. True, the MAGA movement has brought out hatred. I mean, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. That it's drawn it out. It didn't inject it. It was already there. It just gave people freedom to express it. A lot of majority Muslim countries are doing very well as a single metric. All the tallest buildings in the world are in Muslim countries. That isn't Islamophobia. I mean, that's a fact. I don't know that it is a fact. I think Somalia, Yemen, Afghanistan. Yes, some terrible countries are majority Muslim, but like, what about Russia? You know, I mean, what about Venezuela or what about El Salvador? You know, where they've got all kinds of human rights violations. There's all kinds of countries that have corrupt and evil in them that are majority Christian. You just don't stereotype them so they don't come to mind. There are also decent countries that are majority Muslim. I think that it's more a matter of whether or not, how much you let the religion dictate your politics and how much you let your politics get involved in the religion. I think it's more just, and I say that because I think also, like, atheism is it's not a religion, but it's kind of an anti-religion that has the same impact. You know, like if you look at China or under Mao or Russia under Lenin, where there was all this kind of persecution of anybody that had religion. So that's kind of like an anti-religion religion. It's still a theological ideology that ends up persecuting people. So I think it's best just let people be with their religion. It doesn't matter what the majority of anything is. Fescaga, gonna Fescaga. I don't know what Fescaga means. I suppose we're supposed to be feeling the Islamic State of Japan. Oh yes, that one. That is a Muslim country. That. Just kidding. The Middle East had all religions in abundance. They are trying to do another scramble for Africa in the Middle East, and it's been a lot more difficult as the societies were prepared for. As the societies were prepared for is war. The Middle East has all religions in abundance. They are trying to do another scramble for Africa in the Middle East, and it's been a lot more difficult as the societies were prepared. I think he's saying that Africa is like a whole different. The problem with Africa is that colonies set the boundaries for the nations and not the way that we would normally organically have nations evolve. And so you had like rival tribes being forced into the same national boundaries. Then when the colonies pulled out and those tribes started going back to their millennial old conflicts, it got worse. It's like getting to a car, except you're the passenger, and I keep hitting the imaginary brake, but lately I've been pushing so hard I'm afraid I'm going to put my foot through the floor. Yeah, and we just keep getting closer and closer to the wall. And Donald Trump saying, oh, we can go through it, we can go through it, and just sitting there prattling nonsense. Interesting. MAGA should be a fourth party, Trump's party. MAGA. Okay. Well, I mean, the king is literally the head of the Church of England. All the bishops of the Church of England sit in the House of Lords. Yeah, and this is all just ceremonial right now. But your history is, like you had like queens and kings that would like kill people for being Catholics. Right? I mean, that didn't do any good. And it's like, let's not overlook the fact that England. Like, the reason the sun never set on the British Empire is that the British Empire went around killing people all over the world. Like, to the people that were conquered and converted by, the Christians around the world, and not just England, like all the Christian nations that went and colonized the world and forced their religion on them, including America, including like the Native American tribes. Might doesn't make right. The fact that, they're all Christian now because they were subdued and conquered doesn't make what they went through any less brutal. Like, there is no country in the world except Afghanistan that has religion and the state more closely combined. Yes. And what? Like, I again, my issue is not whether, like, my issue is that religion and politics should not be intertwined. I don't care what the religion is. Did you see said he is going to run for a 4th term? Yeah, well, because he won in 2020. That's what he's getting at. I think this could be either A, he is just trolling, B, he's trolling with the hopes that something is going to happen, or C, he's not trolling at all and he's just planning on not leaving office. When some people speculate that's what's going on in the whole East Wing thing with the bunker. But I say let him do that. Let him just lock himself in prison for the rest of his life, and then when he comes out of the bunker, throw him in prison. And if he doesn't, then just leave him in the bunker and let him imprison himself. I'd say the Vatican. Vatican is pretty closely tied to religion. And lots of political violence that came out of it. Christianity birthed slavery in America. Slaves were given their own modified Bible. I did not know that. True, Walter. Liberia was the Israel of its day, a state made by taking advantage of a recently oppressed people to manipulate them into doing colonialism. I used to live in Liberia, Dusty, for 2 years. I went to high school there. My dad was a diplomat. And you're right, there was the American Colonization Society, which resettled freed American slaves. And that's why Monroe was the president, and that's why the capital is Monrovia. Interestingly, since the only kind of economics they had ever known was slavery, basically the first 100 years of its existence, the main source of revenue, the biggest export was human capital. They basically enslaved, through indentured servitude, the local populations. They were the colonizers. I've been pepper sprayed many times. Boy, that's something I bet Tim Pool has too, but for different reasons. See what I did there? Pepper spray is banned in the UK. It's not banned here. Interesting. I haven't been pepper sprayed directly, but I've been in the fray. Interesting about Iran war. Didn't Iran ship 25,000 pounds to Russia in 2015? Didn't John Kerry praise them? I have no idea what you're talking about, John, or what you think the relevance is. 25,000 pounds of what? Anyway, I don't have time for weird conspiracy theories. Can you at least carry a cricket bat in the UK? Yes, but you would have to have a good reason. You can't just carry a cricket bat around with you for no good reason. Well, I mean, what if you just want to swat a cricket? Exactly, like Stephen A. Smith. Yes, man, I'm that far behind. Stephen A. Smith, man, that guy is annoying. MAGA Mike Johnson played dumb and said it's allegations. 11. Okay. I'm about 10 minutes behind. Mike Johnson played dumb and said it's allegations, but the person asking him the question mentioned Maine, and those were just allegations. Dems quickly disowned him. Yeah, they do that. They like, and they tried to have it both ways with Maine now with the new guy. The new guy, actually, I like him. He seems really down to earth. And they're like trying to say, oh, well, they replaced Plattner on the ballot, and then they were like trying to, blame them for not replacing Plattner on the ballot, and then they blame him for replacing Plattner on the ballot. Republicans just complain about whatever the Democrats do. And they just say that Democrats should do the opposite. They have no political consistency or actual ideology. They're just anti-Democrats. That's all they are. No one in America, well, I mean, and just, pro-hate. No one in America uses baseball bats to play baseball anymore. We import all our baseball players. Mike Johnson fakes his Christianity. That I'm telling you, there is not a more smug face in the history of the planet than Mike Johnson's. Yes, but can you name an equal set of countries? The U.S., France? Yeah, but see, all of these countries you're talking about are Christian countries. Like, they are countries that have majority Christian populations, but they are either countries that were conquered by Christians or that conquered Christians. Germany was not initially Christians, right? They were conquered by Christians. Spain wasn't initially Christian. They were conquered by Christians. Italy was conquered by Christians. Australia was, a colony. New Zealand was a colony. Canada was a colony. All majority Christian countries, but they weren't all majority Christian countries before we exported forced Christianity to them. Just not, before they were Christian countries, they were other countries. And they became Christian countries through violence and mayhem and colonialism. So it's not like this big own that you think it is. And by the way, they're also all non-religious in terms of their government, which is what I'm saying. Leave the government out of the politics. I think any country that puts politics or religion in its politics, leave the government out of its politics. I mean, leave the religion out of the politics. Any country that has any kind of theology involved in its politics is going to end up being a bad guy. Yeah, whether it's Russia under communism or China under communism, where it was like anti-religion, or whether it was England killing Protestants, or whether it was England killing Catholics, or whether it was what was Bloody Mary, right? Which one was, I forget which one she murdered a bunch of. I think, was she anti-Catholic or Catholic? But England, that's one of the reasons that America has the First Amendment and the separation of church and state. People were fleeing all that religious violence from the government. So I think that what you're identifying is countries that don't have religion involved in their government. As good as them, they're not majority Christian. They are trying to set up those colonies and bodies like Israel, because war is his heart. Esau, Edom. It proves that depending on the religion, a combining of religion and state does not automatically make it bad. Name a country that combines religion and state that does not have a history of violence. Hi there, Sound or Salm Samatrat. I can't pronounce your names. Salma, yeah, Salma Choudhury. I'm just going to call you Hurry. I can pronounce that last, or I could call you Sound. The Church of England and the UK government are one of the most combined religious state powers in the world, and the UK continues to be one of the best countries in the world. But right now, it is not theologically run. I think you're kind of glossing over that fact. Right now, the prime minister could be a Muslim, right? Pour cement over the bunker with him inside. There you go. That's an idea. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning that followeth. It was his speech planned for the correspondence dinner where he mentioned the fourth term thing. Yeah, and he had his, like, took out his Trump 2028 hat, and he's just such a dick. The modern day Vatican has had a lot of violence come out of it. So is America. The United States of America is the most violent country on earth right now. We're the country that has started more wars since World War II than all the other countries. Russia hasn't started as many as we have. China hasn't started as many as we have. We're violent. Like, I just think you're kind of romanticizing a certain kind of violence over other kinds of violence. We're the ones that are killing children in Iran. They're not killing children in America. You think that they feel like, oh, well, you know, do you like, why do you think that they chant, you know, death to the USA? You think it might be because we killed a bunch of their people? I mean, we've killed a lot of people. America has killed a lot of people all over the world. We killed a bunch of people in Iraq. We killed a bunch of people in Afghanistan. We killed a bunch of people in Iran. We killed people in Venezuela. We killed people, like, for hundreds of years. We invaded the Philippines, forced water down their throats and stomped on their stomachs until they died. America's done a lot of evil stuff. I mean, England did a lot of evil stuff. Spain did a lot of evil stuff. You ever heard of the Spanish Inquisition? Like, you're just kind of glossing over the fact that all these majority Christian countries you're talking about have their own very, very, very entrenched history of evil stuff they did. Piles of fossilized used adult diapers 1 million years from now. What was this? I'd love to hear more about your experiences in Liberia. It was really, really interesting. There was, like, my school, we had like 32 nationalities. And so I got to know people from all over the world. We used to have a day called Hick Day. I don't know why they called it Hick Day. But everybody, or it was like we did this kind of international thing where everybody would bring like their favorite. Everybody would set up a table. Like, people from every country would set up a table, and then you'd go around and you'd get like food from those countries, and you'd talk to people, and they'd have like a little display about their country and stuff like that. And so, like, you learned on a different level from what different countries were like. And we had kids from Lebanon there, and we had kids from Holland or whatever, like all over Europe, all over the country, all over the continent of Africa, Australia, New Zealand. I had a crush on a girl from New Zealand. When has there been violence coming out of the modern day Vatican? Well, we're not talking about the modern day Vatican. We're talking about the whole history of Christianity and governments. Historically, it's been there. You want to deny that the Catholic Church has killed people? Enriched uranium, 2015, Iran shipped uranium to... No, it didn't. Stop making stuff up. Or we, like, just... No, we're not going to... John, just go somewhere else if you're going to repeat just wild, crazy, nonsensical conspiracy theory nonsense. This is a reality-based channel. I'm not seeing the people that are being timed out even make a comment. I must be on a different server. Oh, well. Must be Brett. Why does... I don't see anybody getting... I don't know what you're not seeing. Why does Russia need uranium? They have their own... John is just... You know, like, you can't... They read this stuff on, you know, whatever right-wing weirdo channel. Like, no, Iran did not send all this uranium to Russia. I don't even know what made-up nonsense that is. Things are very quiet on my end. I think they are quiet for Kelly too. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of there John's comment. I'm not seeing a lot of robot content. Maybe YouTube did something to clean up stuff. There was Andrew and John have both. There's been a couple of troll comments, but nothing like we normally get. Britain wasn't even Christian. They were Picts and Celts. And Ireland was Druids, and you know, it's Italy didn't have the Christianity forced upon it. The Roman Empire, by his own free will, became a Christian. Yes, and then he forced people to become Christians. You know that, right? The people were like told, "You're a Christian now." He marched his entire army into the ocean and said, "You're baptized now. You're Christians." And so that's why you get a lot of this stuff that's like the whole Mary thing. That's not actually in the Bible. I mean, yes, the virgin birth is, but the whole imagery and stuff that's associated with it, that was all from Esther, the goddess Esther. That's where you get Easter from. The Christmas, Jesus wasn't even born in December. Jesus was born in October. If you based on them following the star, we can kind of figure out it was probably around October that he was born. But the winter solstice was a big celebration, so they did that. And so you had you had all these people that became Christians by force, and they just brought their own religion into whatever version of Christianity they and they changed it. And if you didn't like it, then you got killed. because they're being good countries today has nothing to do with them being Christian, Harry. That's my point. It's once you take the religion, it's taking the religion out of the government that's important, not what the religion is. All of these countries are deeply involved with, but they're not. And throughout the Roman Empire, they mixed several other religions in there, including Buddhist, Greek, Buddhist missionaries, etc. The emperor sometimes forced it in his own people, right? So yeah, Dusty got there before me. I'm just catching up in the comments. Yeah, the king literally swears. But do you really think that he takes like? Do you think that King Charles really, really, really like thinks that, or is that just ceremonial? I think it's ceremonial. He does like if he were to like as whatever ceremonial position he has as head of the church and try to dictate it, then it wouldn't be taken seriously. He has no legal authority that way. All because they kid Jesus, a weird Jewish guy. Bishop, yeah, but again, when does he act on that? You're talking about a ceremonial position, not one that's exercised, not one where he actually uses, like, boomers shouldn't be live streaming. I'm not a boomer, and anybody can live stream. This is wild. I'm not seeing any of these people. What do you mean you're not seeing these people? Like you're not seeing the threads that the comments that I'm posting? The only solution I can really think, maybe if you refresh your browser, Brett, maybe something, I don't know. The only solution are you on a phone? The only solution I can really think is we have been genociding other humans since Denisovans. Now we have the power in our minds to change our behavior actively. We can fix it. I don't know what that word is. I don't know if that's an actual word or if it's a misspelling. We can decide to stop and normalize new behaviors. Yes. Anyway, so we're getting off track. They have a history of evil stuff. I'm not talking about the history of these countries. I'm talking about how they behave today. Right. And so am I. They don't behave like Christian countries today. They behave like countries that don't rule according to their religion and where religious freedom exists. Like all of those countries that you're mentioning have religious freedom. That to me is the essential thing, not what the majority of the country is. And if you're talking about a majority Muslim country or a majority Christian country or whatever, I think if it is religious freedom is predominant there, then it's fine. Let me see something here. So like Indonesia, Azerbaijan, Turkey. Well, Turkey has some problems. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and anyway, they're constitutionally secular with legal and political systems heavily shaped by Soviet history. Albania and Bosnia and Herzegovina are European nations that have majority population. So there are plenty of countries that have majority Muslim populations that also have religious freedom. How about you change people you control, like trying to denounce the racists in your country who literally went around murdering random immigrants for a guy who didn't even want that, assuming you're in Britain? I'm trying to think. Americans have probably killed people in more than 50% of countries that exist. America is an incredibly violent country. Are you on about Tommy Robinson, that moron? Or what about Nigel Farage, who is currently under investigation for corruption? Because if you're going down that road, that's fine. I don't like them either. I think you're missing the point here, which I am saying that what the majority religion is irrelevant. What's relevant is having freedom of religion and keeping the religion and the politics separated from each other. But if they're going around killing each other because of their, Christian faith or whatever, I think that was what Dusty was talking about. So do you guys just sit in an echo chamber with your little buddies to swell your egos all day, talking to air? Look, you're free to voice a different opinion. I don't know what you mean by echo chamber, but I look at every comment and respond to every comment. I'm not afraid of being challenged, but it seems like you don't really have a challenge. You just want to come out with an ad hominem attack. Do what you can if you're pale enough to not be in the direct danger to make these assets uncomfortable around you. Not going to lie, but when people start talking about religion, I always get sleepy. Yeah, so let's get back to the topic, which is America is less safe because of Donald Trump. In these days, so the first thing that I mentioned was that we've lost our military intelligence, our just aggregate so much experience and intelligence simply because we got rid of like anybody that was black or female in our senior leadership. And so we lost all of their contributions. Second, we have depleted our stockpiles of munitions and stuff like that. So we're less safe because of that. Thirdly, we've just sabotaged our alliances, who won't even share their military intelligence with us anymore. The next thing that the ironic thing is cybersecurity. Trump has gutted our cybersecurity ironically, after he, you know, considering that he gave this big speech on how, you know, all these other countries are trying to steal our elections and stuff, which is why you made sure that that's like somebody's pointing a gun at you and you're like, oh, they're going to shoot me. They're going to shoot me. And so you put your, you take your bulletproof vest off. So yeah, now we are more vulnerable to election fraud than we've ever been, because he's trying to he wants to have excuses so that he can actually be the election fraudster. He wants to just be able to set aside the results of the election if they don't come out the way he wants in November. If the Republicans were to pull off a miracle and win, or pull off the cheat and win, then that will prove that, you know, nobody likes the Democrats. But if the Democrats win, that'll prove the Democrats cheated. All right. So I'm skipping past the Trump manipulating the stock market once again. Dow Jones up 250 points. Oh yeah, because we're gonna be at peace again. Like, forget, like, I am so done with that. Like, how stupid do you have to be to still believe anything Trump ever says about anything? Like, no, we are not like any closer to peace with Iran than we were last week. So Harry, I'm skipping over just to get caught up and to get back on topic. Skipping past the religion comments because they're not really relevant. Anyone who believes people, oh, so yeah. Thank you, Ryan. I see everyone, but I'm not seeing the trolls for some reason. I only see the timeouts like a ghost image. I don't see the actual comment prior to the timeout. Okay, I don't see what you're not seeing, but I don't even see like the ghost. So all I'm seeing is the actual comments. So maybe YouTube did something to improve their botware or whatever, you know, like their bot spyware or stopware or whatever you call it. Their bot filter. A lot of countries with religious freedom have majority. Oh, okay. I think it's irrelevant, because if it's religious freedom, then it doesn't matter what the majority is. I'll restart my device later. It's not that big a deal. How are we sitting in a echo chamber where we are deliberate? So Denisovan are other species of humans like Neanderthals. Oh, I didn't know that. Back to topic. Thank you. Yes, America is very violent. At least once a day, the police are at my building, not my residence, just the building I live in. And there was a shooting the other day. I mean, there's always something. There was another mass shooting today, but I didn't. It's like they're so common now, I didn't even look at it. I guess in Seattle or something. Trump is actively refusing to give blue states funding for, yes, not just for disaster relief. There's apparently a study there, that there's a report now that he cut funding for like all kinds of federally approved programs simply because the states voted for Biden or voted for Harris. He's just cutting all funding to blue states. Like, he's punishing states for not, like, this is so insane. Our CIA is the leakers. The woman next door tried to hide a pistol in her toilet tank and it discharged last year. She flooded her apartment and the downstairs apartment. Brett, do you live in Kentucky? Do I remember that right? I don't know why I think you live in Kentucky. But that sounds like a Kentucky thing. I had really a bad spiral when the news was full of the poor pup and the kid after the football cup, as I've experienced so much police violence being poor and disabled. I don't know about that one. I haven't heard about the I don't know what that story is. Heath is a greatly at risk. Health is greatly at risk. Higher population, higher prevalence of disease, lower life expectancy. So okay, yeah. So then you've got the cybersecurity, and the election security is worse off, and then you've got our own intelligence, like U.S. intelligence through the FBI and stuff like that. All these people that are getting reassigned to take care of immigration from like actual things that matter, like anti-terrorism task force and stuff like that. People are getting taken off of that to go and harass, harmless immigrants. So all of these things, like I started thinking about it just with the whole munitions thing, and how right now, if somebody were to actually attack America, we would be less capable of defending ourselves than we've ever been. Or if somebody were to attack Taiwan or whatever, we'd still be able to defend ourselves. Don't get me wrong, but we would be less able to defend ourselves. And if China went and invaded Taiwan right now, we wouldn't be able to help them. So I'm not the only one that doesn't know about the poor pup and the kid. Was the bit lady trying to kill the tiny bowl man? So, okay, I physically have to block that news because I will spiral so hard I can't do anything. Yet I remain awoke to it. No, not Kentucky. I live in the murder capital. What is the murder capital? New Orleans? Memphis? St. Louis? Baltimore? But yeah, I have friends in Kentucky, and that is exactly the sort of thing that would happen in Kentucky. Seems it would have been much better to build cheap drone defense programs that can counter Iran missiles and drone technology. The defense industry instead convinced the Pentagon to purchase multi-million-dollar defense toys instead of focusing on keeping our munitions in stock. And this is, I was talking about this earlier. Hey, by the way, Leslie, welcome back. Leslie's like my Twitter audience. But I was talking about this earlier. Like, why can't we just go let's lean all the way into the droid thing, or like into the drone thing. Just go all in on drones. Like, it doesn't have to be 100%. We can still have some planes and stuff, but we could downscale our military a lot, cut back spending a lot, and then use that money to do things like feed children and improve Social Security and stuff like that, instead of adding. Now we're up. They want 100 or $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion for defense spending. Why? Speaking of Kentucky, what's the update on Senator McConnell? Apparently, there's a new statement released by his staff that he's, that he's going to be better, but he's still in the hospital and he's recovering. And there was another picture where his wife is holding him up. Can't wait for the movie Weekend at Mitch's. My city isn't the murder capital anymore, thank goodness. I think they're trying to is it Memphis? I don't know why you don't want to tell me. Anyway, I think they're trying to fake his. It's got to be somewhere. I figure it's got to be somewhere in the South, maybe, or at least like in a moderate climate. Because I don't see people like riding around in bikes in Chicago or something. Well, I mean they do, but not year long. And I just you have to be biking. Like I imagine you're like actually riding your bike while you watch the stream. Magically on August 8th, they will announce that he is gone or effectively brain gone. Drones can be useful in a lot of ways. I've invested in some drone ETFs. Wow, I'm caught up on the comments. What is an ETF? I think we could, like, I don't understand why we need to like be committed to this old school way of defense spending. Why can't we just like steer more into the drones thing? Less human life lost, less cost. That means we have more money to spend on things that matter more. Like I would much rather my money, like all these people that sit there and like, oh, spending other people's money is, or whatever, the what is that saying, like until you run out of it. It's like I have no problem spending my tax dollars on healing people or feeding children. Like liberals pay taxes too. It's not like conservatives want to make it sound like conservatives pay taxes and liberals spend it. That's actually the opposite of what happens. Blue states actually have paid more in taxes, and Republican states get more in spending. But you can't have a reality-based conversation with the MAGA. Because if they engaged with reality, they wouldn't be MAGA anymore. I love these DJI mini drones that follow and film and autonomously. Man, you guys are making me exercise my mouth today. Autonomously. McConnell was able to run a mile and do 48 pull-ups without doing a blank stare into the distance. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Okay, DJI is on a come up, I think. What is DJI? DJI drones. What are so they're like drones with cameras or something? Camera drones. Those are the ones that the perverts always use in the movies to watch the girls sunbathe. ET exchange traded for fund, kind of like that specialized index fund. So back to the, I think I had one more. No, I think I got them all. Oh, cyber. Oh, okay. I see what I did. I doubled up the alliances and intelligence sharing. So anyway, like they're just, and then if you wanted to get into it, just the economic aspects of it, we're stripping away all the automatic stabilizers that are supposed to help us if we head into a recession. And when you combine all of that with all the other safety nonsense, like we're not just, the only threat is not like terrorism or other countries or whatever else. There's also the internal threat of just the country's economy imploding, which Donald Trump is also gassing that up. Oh, DJI is a company like Gropo. Okay. What is the SABAC saving us from? From elections? I can't believe that, like, at this point, even if the SABAC were to pass, which it won't, but it's 99 days away from the election, there's not even enough time to enact the SAVE Act. I can't see the Supreme Court letting it stand. It would like destroy any hope of actual election integrity. James Carville in a Sunday podcast is pushing for a new DNC chairman, called the DNC dysfunctional. Yeah, the DNC is like in debt and put up the DNC headquarters building for $15 million because we're like $13 million in debt, or maybe it's the other way around. But yeah, the DNC is really in debt, which is ironic because, well, I mean, it's not ironic. Maybe the word is, it's not as bad as it sounds, because plenty of like senators and whatnot have raised more money than that. Like James Tallarico has raised more money than the DNC debt is. So it's not like the candidates need the DNC for funding. But on the other side, the Republican Party candidates aren't doing well in terms of fundraising. But because of Donald Trump and his what we will call tactics, the Republican Party is just flush with cash right now. Because all Donald has to do is talk to tech billionaires, and they give all of this money to the RNC. Then the RNC can give that money to whatever candidates they want, thanks to the Supreme Court, which was also owned by some of the Republicans' tech billionaires. Republicans are hiding his condition until early August 8th deadline passes to prevent a competitive special election. Oh, is that what happens? Because I know that they changed the law so that Andy Beshear wouldn't be able to appoint somebody they don't like. That way they don't have to put a Democrat in. Yeah, that used to be that the governor would name a replacement, but then they changed the law last year, which I think there's some kind of there's some issues there where the law and the Constitution, the state constitution, say different things. Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky is quite a state. And then Rand Paul. I've got this video. I haven't published it yet, but I have it up on YouTube. You can check it out later. Rand Paul had this tirade thing that he posted all this stuff about how Dr. Fauci secretly knew that the COVID was developed in a lab in Wuhan and buried it. And so he's got all these quotes from Fauci's diary that he's kind of cherry picked out and misrepresented. So I have a video up on that, going through the context of what actually Fauci said in the context of his diary, and to show how Rand Paul misrepresented it. But basically, early on, there was real consideration of whether or not it was manufactured or whether or not it was just organically evolved. And they considered the possibility of it being developed in a virus or developed in a lab, and then discounted that after some investigation. They didn't have a lot of stuff to investigate at the time, and so on and so forth. It's still not likely that it's still the overwhelming probability is that it did just happen. It wasn't planned. It wasn't manipulated in some lab. There's a very small possibility. And that's all they say, is there's a possibility. But Rand Paul keeps trying to conflate a possibility with a probability. I can see the mods at Let's Mo and Colonel. Yeah. Mo and Colonel Olds are regular viewers. I'm wondering if YouTube has done something to sort of filter out the bots, because we haven't been getting a lot of bot farms today. They keep rehashing the past to keep our eyes from looking. Oh, hi, Lise. I don't think I've seen you here before. They keep rehashing the past to keep our eyes from looking at the current and future messes they're creating. Yep. Anything to avoid talking about the fact that right now gas prices are through the roof as a direct result of Donald Trump's policies and a bunch of other stuff. We're at 411, back up to 411. It's almost like Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Either he doesn't know what he's doing or he does know what he's doing. And he doesn't know what he's doing and things are getting worse, or things are getting worse because he does know what he's doing. Since early 2025, I pounded 4 beers one after another. The second I get calm, I call it political affliction. Oh, buddy. I had to quit drinking. COVID could have come from a meteor or a melted glacier. Not according to Rand Paul. Sign, I am old. Louise Brown, the very first tube baby, turned 48 on Saturday. Because you remember when that happened? I remembered when that happened. I was like, I think I was in 5th grade, and there used to be, what was it? The Weekly Reader. I think it was called the Weekly Reader. And it was like a little newspaper that they gave out for 5th graders. And there was, in the Weekly Reader, there was a little news story about a test tube baby. And would have been 1977, I think. So, yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that, the very first test tube baby. Good evening from Germany. Hey, Winterland. How you doing today? So anyway, I think that's it's been a chill Monday so far. It's been pleasant. It's been nice to just have like a conversation without getting taken over by trolls. So didn't have as many people, but at least it was all like more or less on topic, except for a little tangent into the whole religion thing. It was nice to not like have combat with MAGAs all day. Like its rhyming history so bad. Unsizable a section of the globe steal from it, establish a new country that definitely isn't a colony. The country rebels. Both gangs and tribes try to reform. I don't remember that, but yeah, I remember baby Jessica falling down the well too. How many Fauci votive candles did you? I don't even know what a Fauci votive candle is, so none. What is a Fauci votive candle? Nice without trolls, but I would still like to see MAGA with a brain actually come to pick up their logic center. I would love to have like an actual conversation. I've looked through some others. There's a guy named there's a guy named Oscar that he tries to engage with MAGAs and he gets frustrated. There's a guy named what's his name? There's a guy that I can't think of his name. He's got like a red stripe in his hair. He's on Facebook a lot. And I've looked at a lot of his conversations. There's a black guy, Isaiah Martin. Isaiah Martin is good. There's a lot of people that like sit there and they try. There's the redheaded kid. There's a lot of different people that try to have, like reasonable conversations, and it's just so hard. A lot of them, like they have like face-to-face conversations, and it's funny because then like the MAGAs, they won't even let you talk. They'll ask you a question, and as soon as you start to give them an answer they don't like, they talk over you. Of course, it's always MAGA trolling and stupidity. I don't know. I mean, there's if they were like, I think we're at the point where if somebody is capable of like having a reality-based conversation, they've left MAGA a long time ago. Like Joe Walsh was originally a Trump supporter, and and then he kind of got confronted with some intellectual honesty, and so he's not anymore. I think there are some people that were convinced and changed their minds. Dean Withers, yes. Dean Withers, the redhead guy. Dean Withers is pretty good. He debates MAGA in person. And they just like, they'll ask him a question and he'll start to talk. As soon as he starts to talk, they try to talk over him. There's this skinny guy named Oscar. And he's got a show where it's kind of like mine, except that he actually has them pop on. Isaiah Martin most commonly said phrases, "You don't know what you're talking about and you're lying." I mean, Isaiah Martin, he's pretty good. I like him. There was one guy that was accusing him of this guy was like saying he had a higher IQ than Isaiah Martin, and Isaiah's like, "What's the square root of 81?" And the guy couldn't come up with an answer. Destiny is the guy with the redhead. Yeah, Destiny is good. Destiny, when he goes on his tirades, he's pretty good because he gets mad. But and he just destroys them. And so did you see Andrew Tate crying on about how he has to live in a cell next door to a cannibal? Wait till he gets to Gen Pop. They're going to ventilate him. Oh my goodness. What is it with, like, how come nobody is pointing out that now there is like this family history of Trumps that like to hang out with, like people that run pedophilia rape rings, like father, like son. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like Barron is to Tate as Trump was to Epstein. How come we're not talking about that? So many people have no idea what they are talking about. Like, it's so obvious when you have lived in Chicago or Detroit that they are full of it. And it's always interesting how they, whenever like they use Chicago and Detroit as like this kind of race baiting stuff. Like you'll say, oh, Black Lives Matter. What about Chicago? Why don't you stop gang violence in Chicago? It's like, I'm against gang violence in Chicago too. But nobody's like arguing for that. But yeah, they love to use like inner city as like code word for black people. The Trump admin is totally for sale to any rich donor corporation. Trump removes regulations protecting our environment, food, air, wildlife, and water to any corporation that can fork up the cash. Yes. And the Supreme Court has given him that ability now with striking down Chevron. The American people will be left sicker, poor, while thank you, Leslie. Yes, that is the other thing I wanted to bring up about the whole Another way we're less safe is with environmental regulations and with Robert with RFK Jr. We're it's like we're like virus of the month club up in here now. We've got like like viruses here. We've got foodborne illnesses. You can't even eat at Taco Bell without getting diarrhea anymore. Well, I mean, worse diarrhea. That was actually kind of funny that it ended up being Taco Bell. Like, what do you mean you can get diarrhea from eating at Taco Bell? Who could have seen that coming? But and then you got the screw worm thing. We are and it's ironic because they sit there and everything is about selling you fear. The immigrants are going to get you. The Muslims are going to get you. The Iranians are going to get you. The drug dealers are going to get you. Everybody's out to get you. And the one person that is the biggest danger to American society is Donald Trump. The person who is defending us is endangering us. We've never been less safe. Our economy is in danger. Our national defense is weakened. Our intelligence is gutted. Our military elite have been decapitated. And now we've got Pete Hegseth sitting there acting like he can do pull-ups, so therefore he knows better than all the generals. We've never been less safe than we are right now. And this is the whole campaign was all about how we weren't going to have a country anymore if Kamala Harris won. I really enjoy Pick Legs, but he's on later, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I haven't seen Pick Legs. Is he on YouTube or? And then there's the guys that there's the MAGA family or whatever the family where the mom is MAGA and the kids are not or something. That Brett's told me about. I got to watch that one. Andrew Tate will never see the light of day again. He's going to be Supermax underground all the way. Trump, yeah, I would, yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. If he's not gonna like just rule out pardoning Maxwell, what makes you think he's gonna rule out pardoning Tate? I've seen Pick Legs. Does Barron have good defamation lawyers? I don't know. He's buddies with Tate. I mean, and Tate's a sex predator. And I didn't say anything that's not true. Can't sue somebody for defamation if they say something true. Barron Tate looked up to Andrew Tate like a big brother. It is gross, but it also makes sense. It's intentional. They intentionally pull up people who either have a bad history or haze them with something terrible like pedo stuff. They are part of the League of Extraordinary Bad People. Kind of like the opposite of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. People are so bigoted, even my fellow leftists are racist because they haven't deconstructed white doesn't mean wealthy, and Chicago isn't magically entirely black. Yes. And there are a lot of black people in Chicago that don't live in the inner city too. I mean, they just make it sound like Chicago is all the inner city. And it's really bad. I've walked around in the inner city and I never got mugged. I really need to see Yellowstone before it turns into I used to, like back when I was a youth minister, I'd go to University of Chicago all the time. Walk around all that area. Like there's like the area right around University of Chicago, they have like a private police force that's safer. But if you go out into if you leave the borders, then it's supposedly less safe. But I used to park my car there all the time, never had any trouble. Walk through there, Went to eat at Harold's. Harold's is good chicken, by the way. I really need to see Yellowstone before it turns into a casino, landfill, or a refinery. Right. Have you seen the movie The Menu? Yes. That's a good movie, I think. Is that the one where Yeah, that's the one where like they like kill people and stuff. That's a good movie. That was like I had no idea what it was about. I don't know. I think it was like when I watched it, it was like one of those movies where you have like the Hulu playing or whatever, and it just streams to the next movie, and I had never heard of it. And I just started watching it, having no idea what it was about or anything. I was like, this movie is crazy. By the way, I watched the Mummy on HBO this weekend, and I'm just gonna say, if you haven't watched the Lee Corson, I think The Mummy is that his name, Lee Corson? Anyway, do not eat while you're watching that movie. That's all I have to say about it. It's a good movie, not a great movie, but it's a solid watch. Just do not eat while you're watching it. There is some imagery there that is just not meant to be viewed while you're eating food. Objectively, black peeps makes Chicago great, and that culture kind of makes everyone who lives here a bit black coded culturally, if not a white bigot who isolates in their dumb little white space. Chicago is one of the, like, I've been to like over 30 countries, right? Chicago is one of the most culturally diverse places I've ever been. It is awesome. You can go and you can get authentic food from just about any country in the world in Chicago. It is so cool that way. You can go, like, there's a little Poland and there's a little Chicago, or a little Italy, and there's like Greek, there's like a little Greek area over by UIC. Get some like great Greek food. They have like I can't remember the name of the place. They had this Greek chicken that was just so good. And they got, like Mexican, like, and they're all mom and pop shops. You don't notice it right away, but after I'd been there a few years, it kind of occurred to me. You have to like go out to the suburbs to get to like a fried TGIFs, or like one of these franchise places, because it's just mom and pop shops are everywhere. There's like 3 or 4 mom and pop shops within walking distance of everywhere in Chicago, and like 2 or 3 different kinds of food too. And there's like diners, and it's just so good that way. Chicago is probably the best place I've ever lived in terms of just being able to eat good food all over the place. So I'm gonna have to check out this Pick Legs guy. He's also on TikTok. Also, I'm really important, and this guy doesn't exist. Isaiah. ICE agents planning major push in Ohio. Oh, because of the TPS. Today's it ends, so they've got to go and get those cat and dog eaters out. Like, it's just disgusting. It's like children are gonna die, and you've got MAGAs that are pro-life that are sitting there gonna be all excited that these children are going to be deported to Haiti, where they're going to be killed, as though they had ever done anything wrong. And they shouldn't have been here illegally in the first place. But they weren't here illegally. Like, why do they want to kill people? Why do they want children to die? I do not understand it. In wake of Haitian immigrants losing protective status. Yeah. What are youth ministers notorious for? Well, I was with college students, dude. And I don't know what you're trying to say. I just, in general, I was molested as a child. So I just really want to tell you to just back off of that. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what they have been through. Before you just start carelessly running around calling people pedophiles because you don't agree with what they say, you really need to think through it, because that's just cruel, man. Like, don't do that, please. Don't insinuate it. Don't suggest it. Like, if you're talking about Andrew Tate, where there's actual charges filed, then yeah. But don't just go around calling complete strangers pedophiles because you don't agree with them, because you don't know whether they're a victim or not. And it's disgusting. I don't like Skyjack Morgan. He's kind of a financial hoe. Only answers the people that's super chat. He hates MAGA, but MAGA knows this and super chats. And of course, he gives them all the time. I don't know Skyjack. ICE came and abducted a bunch of people putting their fiber optic into my city. Now we have all these grave-shaped holes all over the town just sitting there. Another thing, just like, why? How does that make America great? What is the benefit to that? Everyone is diffused around. Even the west side isn't bad in the burbs. Yep. I really, like, are you talking about like around Cicero area? Wait, Cicero, is that? Yeah. I'll tell you, you want to hear a cool story about when I lived in Chicago? This is a cool thing about Chicago. This is my story about Chicago. And like, we were taking a friend of ours to the airport, and I'm pulled off the interstate, and we're pulling up from the ramp onto the street. I forget what the street was, like 35th or whatever. We're going to Midway, not O'Hare, but Midway. And there's like this kind of hill there, like not a natural hill, but like a slope from like the entrance ramp or whatever. Anyway, so we're like going up there, and then it's like my car just dies, just completely stalls out, and we're stuck there in the middle of the road. And I look in my rearview mirror, and there are these 4 large black men, like 18, 19, 20, that are running up to my car as fast as they can. And just when they get there, they like put their hands on the bumper, and one of them yells, put it in neutral. And so I put it in neutral, and they push me up the hill and over into a gas station. They saw what was happening, and they just ran to help me. And then one of them's like, pop the hood. And so I popped the hood. I'm like, I don't have any money because I'm like a poor minister guy. And I pop the hood, and he looks at it, and he's like, okay, it's your radiator. You got a leak in your radiator. And so he's like, let it cool for a while. And so like we let it cool for like half an hour. Then he runs inside, he gets some stop leak. I'm like, dude, can you at least like take a check or something so I can, pay you back? He's like, no, it's no big deal. He pours it in, managed to get her to the airport, and we go home and get the radiator fixed later. Anyway, and this happens in an area of town that has a bad reputation. And that's my story about how terrible Chicago is with all the gang violence and stuff. All I got was gang help. Yellowstone is already a people zoo. Over by Broadway, I would talk to folks after the protest by the bus stop. Broadview. Yeah, that was way after my time. I moved from there about 15 years ago. Was The Mummy filmed in Iran? I have no idea where it was filmed. Rich people eating humans prepared by a chef. Yes. Chicago does a great job of selecting their politicians. Lightfoot was a real beauty. I forgot who was mayor when I left. For a while, it was Daley. And when I first moved there, somebody was like telling me Mayor Daley was corrupt as all get out, but he got stuff done. They're like, he's like, that's politics in Chicago. Everybody knows you're corrupt, but do you get stuff done? If I had to move it to a major city, it would be 100% Chicago. There was a lot I liked about Chicago. I hated the traffic and I hated the weather. Chicago has two seasons. It's either too cold or too hot. A lot of corporations don't even want to set up shop in Chicago. I have a friend that sells like commercial real estate for like the major buildings and stuff. And he closed a deal. Like, I mean, he's very well to do. I don't know if he's like, like he's not a billionaire type, but he's a millionaire type. And he rented out an entire floor of the Sears Tower on the actual 9/11. And 3 hours after he closed the deal, they called up and said, we don't want to do that anymore. Cost him like all kinds of money. MAGA boomers think it's Nick at Night runs of Good Times and Jefferson's out there. Yeah. They have no idea. Chicago is fantastic until winter. Man, the summer it can get so hot and humid. Like I drowned walking to my car one time. The best Vietnamese coffee I have had in my life. So, oh yes, there's like Vietnamese foods, Thai foods, like any kind of food. And it's so amazing. And it's just the food scene in Chicago is just a different level. What was the first generation to care more about themselves than their children? I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. You're making me want to go over to my preferred mom and pop shop cafe. And everybody's got one. Like, I guarantee you can go to talk to anybody in Chicago and say, what's your favorite place? And within walking distance, they will take you somewhere and have like amazing food. They've got all kinds of places there. You could just drive around Chicago, stop at any random restaurant, and it's probably going to be worth your money because it's there's so much good food there. If it's not good food, then it's not going to survive. And we like Chicago pizza is always the deep dish. Everybody thinks about the deep dish, but just regular Chicago style pizza is really good too. I think it's better than New York Brooklyn style, honestly. That's my opinion. They were fond of Canadian geese also. I don't know. I don't know what Canadian geese means. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what Canadian geese you're talking about. Practically becomes sand dunes of snow and falling sheets of ice from the buildings. Yes. Oh my goodness. And the other thing I don't like about Chicago is it's just everything is 3-story buildings and you don't even really feel it until you leave. And you're like, why does my brain feel different? And it's like all of a sudden you realize you can see landscape. You can see like more than 100 yards ahead of you. But in Chicago, there's so many, like every building is at least 3 stories. So it's like you don't see that far ahead of you. You don't see like a skyline, and it kind of affects your brain in a way. It affects your mood. And you don't realize it until you've left. The menu is absolutely it's just crazy. I experienced the coldest winter of my life in Chicago in 1985, I think. The wind chill was -80, honest. Yeah, I've experienced some really cold weather in Chicago. I lived in Minnesota in the coldest. I was about 23 miles away from the coldest spot in the record at the time. I don't know if it's still the record, but at the time It was the coldest day in the history of the continental United States. It was 23 miles away from where I was. And I was in Minnesota. And they had these penguins at the Minnesota State Zoo that were like, they were Falkland Island penguins. They weren't full on Antarctic penguins. And it was so cold, they had to bring the penguins inside. It was like 107 below with the wind chill. Anyway, there was like the running joke was, it's too cold. Like nobody in Minnesota would go outside, and like you don't get too cold for Minnesotans to go outside because they're used to the cold. But the running joke was, it's cold when it's too cold for the penguins and Minnesotans. The only time of year I'm not dying from not being able to regulate my temperature. I can bundle up. Yeah. The heat is in a lot of ways can be worse than the cold, because especially if you live up north, you learn how to layer your clothing and stuff. YouTube does not like you. It's filtering your comments on. Oh, Pure Joy is getting filtered. I don't know. Who is Pure Joy? Okay, so wait. Oh, Pure Joy is the guy that was talking about Canadian geese or whatever. Haitians are not a. Oh, is he talking? Was he saying that the Haitians were? Oh, he was saying that the Haitians were eating Canadian geese, but that was debunked. Haitians are not a crime problem, and they're not eating anyone's cats either. Scam Likely is apparently liking the food talk here. There he has like several different comments. Trump and all his enablers are like that, and this. Haiti has had a bit of problems in their meat trade, yet they have been trying to regulate it against people's pets getting intentionally yoinked. They do not actually love their pets too. They do actually love their pets too. Yeah, that whole thing with the cats thing, there was like one crazy lady who was not even from there that was like on a video that was, trying to eat a cat or something. Then there was a lady in one town that couldn't find her cat, and then they thought that the Haitians ate it, and then it turned out that she just couldn't find her cat. It was in the basement. The cat was just stuck in the basement, and then she found the cat. But it's easier to believe and repeat a racist lie than to think that Haitians are actually human beings. The ones that live long lives will probably have to answer for it, but most will probably live comfortably until the end. I know that hill, have been there. It's one jump away from the Broadview Detention Center, actually. Oh, exactly. Same place I've chatted with folks. The mayor sucks, but the people are good, folks, like most places. Chicago is just different. Chicago is built different. It's oh, Chicago. Sweet home, Chicago. Once downtown, when my family was living in a van, we broke down and the pedestrians helped push up the side to get gas. I mean, like there are so many good people in Chicago. There's some bad people. And Chicago is like, if you don't know Chicago, people in Chicago tend to be like very direct. And so they can come across as being rude, but it's just when it's either always hot or cold and you just don't have time to mess around. So you just say stuff. Get on with it. Speaking of Chicago, remember when Sears had the tallest building in the world? Today, there are only 5 Sears stores in the United States. Yeah. I actually knew a guy that was in charge of the Sears catalog. Like, he's the one that made the Sears catalog a thing. He was like a vice president. And when, back when the internet came out and he had retired and he was trying to tell them, like, through his channels. He's like, look, you guys need to, like, brick and mortar is not the thing anymore. You need to be on this, or Sears is gonna go the way of the dinosaur. And he was right. Indeed, people are the culture. In a way, we can change ourselves to affect others and vice versa. Gang culture is almost dead. It really started dying around the 2000s. Brentwood, why are you attacking the person and not their comment? I don't know. Whoa, are you Brent? Brent's not attacking him. I think you're talking about Brett. Are you talking about Brett? Yeah, you're talking about Brett, not Brent. Brett's not attacking anybody. Public pizza, very thin cut and cut into squares. Yes. I was born in Chicago. Love the deep dish. It's the bomb. Deep dish is great too. But it's not like people think all pizza in Chicago is deep dish. But even like they have like their own chains, like Godfather's Pizza, which isn't bad. I have but the best ones are like, there was a place maybe 8 blocks from me, and you could go there, and they had like this bar, and you could like sit around and look into the kitchen, and then like watch them build your pizza and throw it into this wood oven, and then they pull it out and they'd show it to you and ask you, like, do you want it more or not? And when it was done to your liking, they would pull it out, cut it, and put it out in front of you. So good. It was up, I want to say it was like around Pulaski and Addison, somewhere around that area. If you think people are allowed in Chicago, try going to prison there. What does that mean? Have you ever been to prison in Chicago? I don't. What do you mean? If you think people are allowed in, I don't even know what that means. First, they convince them all that socialism is so bad, and then they point out that Social Security is socialism. So that's why they're going after it. Yep. So then they take it away, and then that's supposed to make things better. I pointed out that Mandami is neither a communist nor an Islamist, or he's not a Marxist or an Islamist, and on a Facebook post, and it was just like the plethora of ignorance that followed that comment, that post. Just so many people that have no idea what anything means, but are full of opinions about it. The radical left, by the way, hi, Nikki. The radical left is evil. Don't you know it's a hellhole? Just ask Tucker Carlson and Stephen Miller / sarcasm. Yep. I picked up on that by the radical spelling there. And so therefore it's okay to kill children, because the left doesn't think it's okay. My mom lives in Lake Geneva. It's the perfect distance from Chicago. Pub pizza, very thin and cut into little squares. Yep. It is like, it's really good, like a kind of a crunchiness. I've been trying to, with my fresh milled flour, I've been trying to figure out how to duplicate that. I'm getting close. I've got some really good. Actually, now all of a sudden I want to make pizza. But I make a pretty good pizza crust from fresh milled flour. Nobody's attacking you. YouTube is blocking you. Nobody here is attacking you, and you keep changing accounts, which makes you really suspect. I think you're on a watch list. I still haven't been to the top of the tower. I was recently going through documents, and I've been here over 6 years. So I had I did a kind of a cruel thing. I was taking a tour, or I had like a bunch of college kids were up visiting from California, and so I took them up to the Sears Tower, and you know how they have like the what kind of window where you can stand on the window and look down, and it's like the really thick glass, and it's just totally unsettling. You know it's 100% safe, but your gut still goes up into your throat. So I like they were all on there and they were looking down and feeling all kind of weird about it. And then I kind of sneakily took my phone out and played this sound of glass cracking. You never saw so many people move so fast in your life. It was hilarious. I I admit it was kind of cruel, but it was still funny. The symbol of fascism is a bunch of sticks tied together. Yep. And those sticks represent the government and the corporations. My mom's whole family from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Cold, cold, cold. Yes. It gets cold up there. Oh my God, -8. I live in Hudson Bay, Canada, the polar bear capital of the world. It was -58 once. Yep. Is that -58 Celsius or Fahrenheit? What is so -40 is where -40 is Fahrenheit and Celsius are the same. So -58 is pretty close. I was just putting you on point, but with your multiple accounts, I'd say YouTube knows what it's doing, especially after your accusation at me for letting you know. And Brett didn't say anything at all mean to you. He didn't attack you at all. Do you have something not racist or phobic to add? There was some kind of weird comment about Chicago prisons, and have you ever been to a Chicago prison? As though he's like, they always do this thing where they're like, okay, how much time have you spent in a Chicago prison? You know, like they act like they have some sort of vast encyclopedic knowledge of things they've never experienced. Imagine being on a top level restaurant eating breakfast on 9/11/2001. Man, imagine like you're sitting there on a top level restaurant and they've got the news on TV and that's what you see. Okay, we got some jewels. Thank you. Diss track sent me some jewels. Like it doesn't show you. I can't display the jewels, but appreciate that. WTF? I'm Swedish, and we say that it's no bad weather, only bad clothes. I like that. I mean, you like dressing in layers is the whole key to it's not how, like, I didn't even have like a parka or anything. I just had, like where I had a t-shirt and I put a Henley on over my t-shirt and like maybe have some long johns and then a t-shirt and then a flannel shirt and then a sweatshirt and then a jacket and you bundle it. Then if you start getting hot, you just take off one layer of clothing at a time so that you can kind of calibrate. You the man, bro. Glad to see you live today. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm glad to be alive today too. So is my wife. Pub pizza, very thin and cut into small squares. My husband is from Chicago. He dream of pub pizza, but we live in Pittsburgh. He gets it when he goes to visit. Pittsburgh I've never been to Pittsburgh. It's I've been to Philadelphia, but I've never been to Pittsburgh. I honestly prefer a day I can wear a heavy wool coat. Oh, thank you. Somebody, Abriamstead sent me some gold coins. Thank you, sir. 10 joules gold coin. Do you know where Hudson Bay is? Like the Arctic Circle? That's cold. I know of Hudson Bay. I don't know exactly. I want to say it's like part of the Great Lakes or something, or next to the Great Lakes, isn't it? By Newfoundland. No, it's not next to the Great Lakes. It is. Hang on. I'm looking at it on a map. Okay. No, it's not next. Okay, so it's up in that. Oh man, that's like way up there in northern Ontario, northern Manitoba. I have not been that far north. I've been to Winnipeg, and I've been to Ontario, but I've never been to Hudson Bay. That seems very, very cold. Wonder, does the temperature, does the bay moderate the temperature at all? I think part of the problem with Minnesota and North Dakota, I also lived in North Dakota, is that there was no body of water to warm anything. I grew up on Lake Erie, and back in the late 80s until the early 90s, it used to completely freeze over, and then it never froze over again since. Summer is hot, and I love the winter and the snow. I keep on talking with my person to potentially move somewhere colder. I moved to Texas to get out of the cold. I got tired of shoveling the walk. I just hated shoveling the walk. I'm sorry, I mean until the early 2000s. After that, it has never frozen over again. My uncle walked across it in the 70s. When I lived in Minnesota, there would be lakes, and I don't know if this would be interesting, but like they used to, like they'd drive their trucks on top of the lake, and they set up like a little tent type thing there, and they drill a hole in the ice and go ice fishing. But like people would drive on the lake. It would, I mean, the ice was thick enough you could just pull up there on your pickup and drive on it. Yeah, it's been, what is it called now? It's been a while. I mean, and it's called the Willis Tower now, but it's kind of like Twitter, you know. Everybody, like, it's technically it's called the Willis Tower, but everybody still refers to it as the Sears Tower. Chicago was built different. Love Chicago. Chicago, yeah, I mean there is gang violence there. Don't get me wrong, but like there's 8 million people that live in the area, and like people act like all 8 million of them are violent or something. Welcome to Sweden, but now it's summer. But I'm going to a Viking boat festival on Saturday, racing Viking boats with my gym dressed as Baywatch, so you can do things in the summer too. That sounds like fun. I lived in Europe too. Europe is like, what really, if you've never been to Europe, I advise you to go, or even to like the Middle East or whatever. Just your perspective of history changes when you see stuff that's like 2,000 years old instead of 200 years old. Polish sausages, just don't put ketchup on your hot dog. That's the only rule they have. Polish sausage is good. Gino's East is good. Although some people hate it. Like, people have their own, there's like there's Gino's, and Giordano's is the other one. And then Lou Molinati's is another one. There's a place called Uno. That's really good too. That's downtown, but nobody's heard of that one. That one, I don't think that one's a chain franchise or anything. A lot of good pizza in Chicago. Lots of Polish sausage. YouTube censored Polish sausage. Can I put my Polish sausage in your bun? I work with rehabilitation of criminals coming out from psych prison. I think you should integrate people into society, and it would be less crime. Interesting. Technically, Mamdani could be president. It depends on how you interpret the Constitution. He is technically a natural-born human. There is no hyphens. Yeah, you have to be born in America. I mean, I remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger won governor of California, and they tried to like say, should we amend the Constitution so Arnold Schwarzenegger could be president? Conservatives have always been weird. Now they hate him. Now they hate him because he doesn't like Trump. This is the America Trump is trying to take away from us. We must protect our neighbors from ICE. That's like, where would we be without immigrants? Our food would suck. What is YouTube's issue with sausage? Chicago has an amazing museum. Chicago has lots of amazing museums. Museum of Science and Industry is maybe the most famous one. Museum of Science and Industry, they have like a little section where like every hour on the hour you can see chickens hatching. They just cycle them through. I don't know what they do with all the little chicks, but it's so cool watching a chicken hatch. And if you're a little kid, I mean, it's really something. They're cute little fuzzy dudes, and they work so hard to get out of there. That's the second comment that had to be manually approved. Well, they found out that people are getting killed by ICE again because Trump instituted another arrest quota. And it's amazing how they try to justify it. Well, they shouldn't have been here illegally, or they shouldn't have they shouldn't have tried to flee. And it's like, I'm sorry. The only way that any way that lethal use of force is ever justified is if your life or somebody else's life is in immediate danger. And when by immediate danger, that means if your life was in danger 3 minutes ago, but now it's not in danger, it doesn't justify force. Glad my name isn't Dick Wolf. I'd never be able to talk on YouTube. That's funny. People were probably freaking out. I know. I think the last numbers were in the thousands. Chicago ice fishing still getting reports. We actually have to keep our doors and cars unlocked in the winter in case a polar bear chases you. Is actually the law. Wow. Yeah, I think I've heard about that. I think I saw it in a movie or something. You know what you call a manic depressive bear? A bipolar bear. Really, we're still talking about the pizza. You can never talk too much about pizza. Need to worry about Turkish prisons. Midnight Express is a movie I'll never forget. I was thinking, I went to Airplane. You ever been to a Turkish prison? Have you ever been inside a cockpit? If they keep talking about the pizza, someone eventually is going to do unthinkable, mentioning pineapple. I like pineapple on pizza, just for the record. Having been all over the world, like I've had like all kinds of pizzas. And so I'm very, very, I call myself what's the word? Can't think of the word anyway. I like pizza is I embrace all kinds of pizza. If you ever go to Brazil and you order pizza, you be ready for something that you would never expect. Ketchup. They don't like make a tomato sauce. They make the pizza without any kind of sauce, and then they bring out ketchup, and then you put ketchup on your pizza. And if you're expecting regular pizza, then it's going to be a shock to the system. But if you like approach it as like this is just a different type of food, it's actually really good. The crust is like a lot crisper because it doesn't have a sauce on it, so it doesn't get as soggy, and you get a nice like crunch to it. Only stopped at the Pittsburgh airport once. I'm finally concerned about China. I'm really concerned about China threatening to officially enter the war against us in Iran. I'm hoping Trump will back down and get the hell out of it and end it. I have no idea how we, like, there's just no way to get out of this in a good way. Like, that's the problem when you start a war under a false pretense, is that you have to solve the false pretense to end it well. And Iran never had nuclear weapons. They never were in danger of having nuclear weapons. So there's no way we can end something that never existed. And now Iran has at least some kind of leverage, or the Straits. And so even if we, they're going to get rid of the sanctions or whatever, Iran is going to get out of this better than they were when it started. Everything about Donald Trump is such a disaster. Domestically and internationally, he's made everything worse. And thankfully, it's reduced more like once a week, but still disgusting that they are bringing federal violence into my city, yet these people have no violent history and are frequently ICE protesters. Nikki says, hi back. I'm a huge Cincinnati Bengals fan. I'm from Canada. I'm going to a game. Anyone been there? Are you going to a game in Cincinnati? I've been to Cincinnati. My wife, actually, when I started dating my wife, she was living in Cincinnati. I was living in Chicago. She was living in Cincinnati. Joe Burrows. Hopefully Joe Burrows is better. I like Joe Burrows when he's healthy. He's a good quarterback. Pittsburgh is a great city. Lots of restaurants, great views. I have a friend that's there. He really loves it. He's not originally from there. He moved there from Chicago. Unfortunately, not. I hope the game is a banger. Oh, Cincinnati. If you're going to Cincinnati and you've never been there, you've got to try Cincinnati chili. There's like there are some things that only exist in certain places, and Cincinnati chili is it's a specific type of chili that's cooked with a little bit of chocolate. It doesn't taste like chocolate. It just has a little cocoa powder in it, and it adds to a flavor. And then they serve it on top of spaghetti with like lots and lots of cheese and onions. And you can get it somewhere else, but it's not going to be as good. Try the Cincinnati chili while you're there. That's my big recommendation. If you like experimenting with foods and trying different kinds of food, that is, get some Cincinnati chili while you're there. Just can pretty much get it at any restaurant. China warned the U.S. that it is ready to fight any type of war. The Arctic Ocean is part of the Hudson Bay. It freezes over. Most of its deals come up. The polar bears use our town like a passage to the bay. I know it's scary because we had to announce to the world like idiots that we were running out of armaments as well. Yep. Because we had to go and just waste them. And then now they're blaming Biden. Even though it's they're saying that that the arms are because Biden sent the reason that it's depleted is because we sent all the weapons to Ukraine. But these are different types of munitions. They're not even the same thing. And then when we sent them, the funding was to replenish them. So it's like multi-tiered stupid. But all MAGAs care about is talking points. They don't care about truth. The proof that Trump knows China did not interfere in the 2020 elections was revealed in a recent interview when he was asked what his repercussions would be, and he said none. It was a long time ago. And also, by the way, he's like gutted our cybersecurity that's supposed to prevent that sort of thing, which is another way we are less safe. I think it's why he pulled troops from bases. If Trump really, China had cost him an election, he would be furious at them and not saying it's water under the bridge. He knows they didn't. You know how he knows? You know how you know that he knows they didn't? Because he knows that he lost. He knows that Joe Biden just got more votes than him. The only one that stole the election from him is the 81 million people who voted for Joe Biden. And so why the U.S. doesn't allow private companies to show satellite imagery? Ironically, news reports must get their satellite imagery from places like Russia and China. Interesting. I did not know that. China definitely interfered in the election to help Trump. We already know that. Well, Russia interfered to help Trump. I don't know if China did. I think China wanted to muddy the waters. Like China, I don't think cares about who wins. I think they care about just destabilizing our democracy and just causing infighting. America, yes. And now Donald Trump wants to put these signs out in front of the Smithsonian saying that, like slavery was actually not as bad as they make it sound. You know who didn't think slavery was as bad as they make it sound? The slaves. Like I wish anybody that would talk about how slavery was not that bad, be a slave for a year, and then you tell me if you think it's that bad. You know how old the slaves were when they started having to work? 3. And they'd sit there and these 3-year-old kids would have to sit there and pick out the seeds out of the cotton until their fingers were bleeding. They had like really small fingers, so they were good for that. 3. Slavery wasn't that bad. Owning other people is bad. Full stop, period, end of story. We don't have the weapons to even stay in a big war. We don't have the manufacturing at home. We don't have the routes. We would have to overhaul our dilapidated steel infrastructure. The U.S. has no munitions. It's nukes or nothing. It's like we have geared our entire defense spending to a war machine, not to actually defend our country. It's all just about how much money we spend and who gets that money. And like we would be a much safer country if we spent the money on things like drones and being a small, nimble defense. And then we could also do things like feed children and provide health care and, have reasonable Social Security. All thanks to Trump. Nukes or nothing. I can't believe we want to spend $1.5 trillion on our defense. $1.5 trillion. And that's not even counting all the money we want to spend on ICE. ICE is better funded than like more than half the militaries in the world. It's 120 degrees Fahrenheit today in Mesa, Arizona. Wow. It's been like the heat index has been like up around 105 in Texas. It's like you walk outside and you just want to die. I wish we have a raggedy. I wish we have a raggedy pizza place that's only open in the summertime. Oh, we have a raggedy. Oh, you don't wish that you had. I wish. LOL. I see what you're saying. Yeah. UNOs used to be a franchise. Uno's and Undo's, yeah. Uno's was a franchise. I just ate at the one downtown a couple of times. I liked it a lot. I live 100 feet outside the gates of Little Italy. Oh, wow. So you live in, like in Taylor? Around Taylor? Around there? Over by UIC? That's where that was when I did the youth ministry thing. I'd go and I spent a lot of time at UIC. Oh man. So you've been to Greektown and stuff. Like there's and on Halstead, I think there's a Greek restaurant that's really good. Actually, we have a program to reintegrate where there's regulated assisted housing for people getting out of the psych high control midway houses. We just need more It's almost like we should treat people like people instead of, like something less than people. I like chicken. Well, you're a dog. I'm just kidding, because your picture is a dog. Unless you were saying that as a dog. Dukes are out of the question. Nukes are out of the question. That's where the chicken go. You want to hear a cute story? My neighbors have like a whole bunch of chickens. Every once in a while, they'll bring us over some eggs. Like they'll have too many eggs, and they'll bring us some eggs. They're nice people. Anyway, yesterday I'm looking for my cat. My cat, like, I know people are like, you should never let your cat outside, but my cat goes outside. He never leaves the yard. He doesn't attack squirrels or anything. He just likes to lay out in the sunshine. So yesterday I went to go get my cat because it was getting too hot, and I don't like to leave him outside too long when it's hot. And I go out, and he's laying on the front porch, and there's the chickens from the neighbor had come over, and they were like digging up, bugs and stuff in my front yard. And he's just watching the chickens. Now he's like buddies with the chickens. He's like a chicken friend. And this morning, I'm sleeping, and then the roosters start crowing, and he's like over on the windowsill behind the curtain, and he's like just looking out. He wants to go out and play with his friends. So I put him out, and he goes and he plays with the chickens. He's a good cat. You've seen him before. Huggy Bear has made an appearance on the show. Trump is obsessed with them, though. He wants to use one so bad. He said it. And he's like asked, why can't we just use nukes? He wanted to nuke a hurricane to, like stop a hurricane. Like, that right there is the, like if you ever needed an excuse for the 25th Amendment, the man wanted to nuke a hurricane. The events I'm trying to get to Kiel getting canceled from heavy ass fall rains. Oh, the events I'm trying to get to keep getting canceled from fall rains. You know who doesn't get shot? Law-abiding citizens. Except that law-abiding citizens have gotten shot, James. I bet you're all for what's her name? I bet you, getting her $5 million or her family. Law-abiding citizens get shot. Just ask what's her name? Breonna Taylor. Remember Breonna Taylor? She was a law-abiding citizen. She got shot. Maybe you should learn to read before you learn to comment. We spend more money on most all other countries combined on our military. So what the hell happened? Are you Ashley Babbitt? That's the name. Are you okay? I bet you think that Ashley Babbitt shouldn't have been killed. Bet you think she was an innocent victim. We spend more money on most all other countries combined on our military. So what the hell happened? He's afraid of China, though. He's a chicken poop maternal fornicator. Sorry, I have to filter some of these out because YouTube is monetized. It occurs to me that we didn't meddle in other countries' affairs. Maybe we wouldn't have any enemies and could actually concentrate on feeding and housing our own population and not hate our own peeps. Like all the terrorist attacks from Iran have been in their own region. They've never killed an American on American soil, unless you count like the embassy. But they like in our borders, they've never attacked anybody. I'm not trying to defend the Iranian regime. They're evil, But to be clear, that doesn't mean where everything we do is justified. It's reduced, but it ought to be none because we are a sanctuary city. I've had moose on pizza. I have not had moose on pizza, but I have had moose. I have had moose. My dad sent me this for Christmas one year. This like package of really unusual meats, and I think it like there was alligator, and there was moose, and there was rattlesnake, and there was a couple other weird things. But yeah, moose tasted not bad. In Sweden, cops need 4Y in higher education and do a psycho test for 8. And if they fail, the psychologist, they will never be a cop, and they have to run 5 kilometers under 30 minutes. Whew. ICE agents, if ICE agents had to run 5 kilometers under 30 days, I don't think they would make it. Argentina is a pizza cheese overload. That and onions. Seriously, it's like a cheese bomb. Ah, wow. I've never had Argentina pizza. Have you had that in Argentina? Yeah, Leslie, somebody else had mentioned that up. They're up to 600 casualties now. And we don't know if that's the real number. It might be more. That everything about if Donald Trump said the sky was blue, I would run outside to see what the hell happened to the sky. Everything out of this administration is a lie. They're doing too little too late. We severely reduce jobs when abducting civilians. We severely reduce jobs when abducting civilians. 0.5% of natural born per 1,000 stolen. Yeah, there's you're talking about the mass deportations. Yeah, I've read statistics like that before. And it's because when you start deporting immigrants who otherwise are, like they're not violent, they're just the only law they ever broke was crossing the border illegally. They actually do work, and that means that the things they do have value, right? Their work has value just the same as anybody else's work. Like the strawberries that an illegal immigrant picks are no different than the strawberries that a legal immigrant or an American citizen picks. And so, but those strawberries get bought, those strawberries get eaten. And those strawberries keep the strawberry farmer in business. And so, and the strawberries get shipped to a store, which a truck driver has to drive. So I've read numbers like that, like 4,400 per every 500,000 or something like that, or jobs lost for every 500,000 immigrants that are deported. It has a negative effect on unemployment. It costs jobs. You'd think, all these jobs are being opened up, but it doesn't work that way, because those jobs are not filled. And so then people that were adjacent to those jobs, who were like citizens or legal immigrants, those people lose their jobs, because if the strawberry farmer has like 5 people that are immigrants and 5 people that are native, that are American citizens, and then he loses half his workforce and he goes out of business because he can't replace those workers, then those 5 American citizens also lose their jobs. And then the trucker that was delivering the food for him loses his job. I think it was gross of Trump to fake talk dead service members. Oh yes, to say they were dying breath to finish their job in Iran, so to speak. Yeah, he tried to say that they wanted this, that he, they were glad to give their lives for this war so that Iran wouldn't get nuclear weapons or whatever. We don't know what they thought, but I don't think that they wanted to go and die to, in Iran to keep fake wars from happening. That's thousands of jobs in some places. Yep. Well, if China enters, and I think that like one thing I think a lot of people like try to make it seem like the real bad guys are the people that pay illegal immigrants. But a lot of the people that pay illegal immigrants are just hardworking people who are trying to stay afloat. And they're paying the only people that will do the work. And they're, you know, like the average small farm that pays for illegal immigrant, that has illegal immigrants working, they're making like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year after taxes. And to hire legal immigrants instead of illegal immigrants it costs like an extra $7,000 per worker per season. So if they just have 5 illegal workers, then they can't even make a profit. You just pack up everything and leave. Get all American forces out and leave. And once Trump is gone and we have a new leader, we solve the problem with diplomacy. Otherwise, we all bleeping die. I think there's a point where sunk cost fallacy comes into play, right? Like at a certain point, you've lost. There's no way you can come out ahead. So stop gambling. Just, walk out. You've lost $10,000. Leave $10,000 behind. Don't lose your house in the process. And that's where we're at now. There is no way we can come out ahead. So just come out, like, just cut our losses and leave. It's already a proxy war. The way Mamdani can become president is if he becomes Speaker of the House, Secretary of State. Yeah, I don't think that happens. I think if the Speaker of the House weren't an American citizen, I think it would just go to the President pro tempore. Cacao. Are you talking? That must have been about the Cincinnati chili. I lived in Pittsburgh for 8 years. It's an awesome city. It's wonderful, but be prepared to have fun learning to drive in the city for the first times. That bad, huh? The only us for nukes is a potential deterrent. They can't be used without total disaster on the whole planet. Dumbasses don't even know that. They think because they've got thousands, they will win. Somebody needs to watch war games, right? I hear people talking about getting rid of the exclusion of immigrants from being president because Trump has already committed trespassing or trespassing as a native born, so Mamdani can run. Yeah, I don't. You'd have to have a constitutional amendment. They want to take out nuke plants over there. This will just make even worse type of Chernobyl event, contaminating the planet. Pittsburgh Penguins, my favorite NHL team. I should go to a Pens game when I go to a Bengals game. How far away is it? If you rent a car, I think it's about what? About a I want to say about it. Oh, it's only about a 4-hour drive. That whole area, and you got like Columbus and Cleveland aren't that far away either. So yeah. People want Pritzker to run for president. He's been good in general, but kind of ignores black needs a lot. I think at this point, I'm leaning towards Ossoff. Ossoff is really. I think Ossoff would be great, but I think there are a lot of people that would be good. The way the Constitution is written, it can be interpreted in a different way. It doesn't necessarily say you have to be an exact citizen of the United States of America. Read the Constitution. Okay. So the exact wording is that a person must be a natural born citizen to run for president. does not explicitly define what that phrase means, but it creates specific rules for citizenship. So you have to be born a citizen. Like I don't think you can be natural. I think it's pretty clear that you can't be a naturalized citizen. Nobody ever talks about Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, Fukushima anymore. It's all forgotten. Yep. It's wide open for so many days in 20. And hopefully that's the way hopefully it'll stay that way, and then whoever wins will win. And then we won't have, like the whole Hillary rigged it type conspiracy nonsense. Like it'll just be, and hopefully everybody will be able to get behind whoever wins, But you've already got people, because they're like they're saying they want to make it South Carolina, which I understand that, because the black voices feel like they don't have enough say if it's just in Iowa. And it starts in Iowa, but now the liberals are mad that there's not enough liberals in South Carolina. Maybe Ukrainian soldiers should train American soldiers. They've offered to show us how to use nukes, or to use drones to defend ourselves. China and Russia both interfered in the same way. Yes, although I don't think to the same degree. Russia was like much further, had much more detailed plans. Like Russia was really manipulated the election for Trump to win. Slavery was absolutely terrible. Yes. Well, read about Truth and Reconciliation to see what European did to Native Americans. Yeah. Did not exactly treat Native Americans well. I mean, like we used to give them blankets that are infected with smallpox just to wipe out entire tribes. Lockheed and Martin's better start pumping out drones. Slavery was bad as the Nazis genociding minorities. Even worse, as it was trauma attempting to be an internal lower class, a living death. There's even some people I don't know if it's true, but I have heard that Hitler got the idea for concentration camps from Indian reservations. It's not the government's job to do any of that, Looney. Okay, I don't. The government's job is to do whatever we say it is. And you can have different opinions on what the government should or shouldn't do, but that's your opinion. Like some people have different views on what the government should do. Saying empirically that something is or isn't the government's job, it just shows a lack of understanding of what government means and how government works. The civil rights movement was only 65 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. And it wasn't like as soon as it was over, all the problems went away. I was alive during the busing crisis, That wasn't like Mayan slavery or Native American. I was going to school during the busing crisis. That wasn't like Mayan slavery or Native African slavery or Greek slavery. It wasn't indentured servitude where you had several clear ways to get out and protections documented. You can definitely compare it to the Holocaust. The Holocaust was just like sped up slavery. It was the 200 years of slavery in 5 years. So fornicated. Kelly, oh, New York, off Mulberry. Okay. Native American got it worse. I'm Metis, I know. I guarantee you your cat kills squirrels, mice, and stuff. Cats are the #1 killer in the world. Don't delete your ideas of cats. Cats are killers. Well, this one's not. My other cat was. I know because he gave me a dead squirrel one time. Instead of profit, maybe we treat profit over people. I mean, cats are predators. So yeah, but this one is he's a passive guy. He's just sitting there watching the chickens play. Instead of profit, maybe we treat profit over people any day. It's all able to profit over people. It's capitalism run amok over here, and everywhere in this world, people don't matter anymore. And people should try Native American food. It's delicious. Fry bread, tacos, yummy. There's a place in Minnesota where I haven't been there, but my sister-in-law has, and it's like a Native American restaurant, and they are full. Like they make the food the same. They make the food that Dakota tribe ate before white people ever came here, and it's apparently very, very good. Chattel slavery, it was so bad that it in essence stole the world of slavery and redefined it. The Egyptians, indentured class Jews, were mostly the immigrate from being the lowest caste into that. Anyway, somebody really doesn't like my cat. You technically can nuke a hurricane if you don't mind nuclear fallout. I mean, you can drop a nuke into the middle of a hurricane. I don't know what would happen, but I don't think it would solve the hurricane problem. My guess is it would make it worse. Honestly, if the nukes don't gut us, AI will. Won't be so long where AI will be more intelligent than us. It's already shown maliciousness towards us with the threat of being shut down. Alex Preddy was a law-abiding citizen. Yep. All he did was try to help a woman to her feet. Then a bunch of gangsters threw him down on the ground, took his gun away, and then shot him in the back 10 times. Your country has had like 6 mass shootings yesterday. Tell me about it. Looking a hurricane through, curing a headache with a hammer. Yes, nuking a hurricane is like curing a headache with a hammer. Breonna Taylor got killed with the no-knock warrant on accident. Alex was an RN in a veterans hospital ICU. He had a license to carry his weapon, and he never took it out. He was protecting a woman. I presume looking was auto-corrected from nuking. Yeah, it took me a second to figure that out. All right, well, I was caught up, and now I'm like getting further and further behind. My favorite Trump 25th Amendment dud was changing the weather map. Well, yes, when he changed the weather map with his Sharpie, because he was like, the alternative was admitting he was wrong about something. Especially because cops who are cowboys think that means they can just shoot. Remember when we used to say that you couldn't compare Trump to Hitler because he had not killed millions of people? Latest report shows that his cutting USA has killed millions of people. Or USAID, I think. Yeah. I think he hasn't gassed 6 million Jews yet. You know, like if that's your bar, maybe your bar is not, like as long as he's not the worst person in human history, he's not that bad. Maybe you need to recalibrate your estimate of what makes somebody a terrible person. If like the only way that somebody can be an awful person is to gas 6 million Jews, like maybe just killing 1 million Africans from death and disease and famine is like bad enough. I couldn't be a Swedish cop. I couldn't be a Swedish cop either because I'm not Swedish. It takes a lot to launch a nuke. It takes multiple file with multiple codes and multiple keys. And I honestly don't believe they would obey an order from Trump. I hope they wouldn't. I went to Argentina on my way to Patagonia. I had Argentina beef one time when I was in Brazil. Best steak I ever had in my life. Like just by a long shot. A lot of contractors in my area have gone out of business because they can't find anybody at Home Depot to help. They used to hang out in the parking lot under the trees near the employees parking. Yep. And this stuff is going to have a delayed effect. MAGA won't get up on a roof. MAGA, I don't know, some of them might, but I think again, like the reason that they go to the job, like illegal immigrants migrate to the jobs that are there because nobody wants them. So in general, it's an accurate comment. It's not even a controversial one. Like the reason that like people don't want to go and work on hot, sweaty woobs, if they don't have to. You can't even find actual people at Home Depot. I love immigrant cultures. I've traveled. I work in different countries. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have a job. I wish everybody could spend time, like go to different countries. It changes your whole world view. Every country I go to, when I go there, if I have any time at all, then like what I like to do is I like to like talk to somebody that's from there and just be like, hey, what's your favorite restaurant? Not the one that tourists go to. Like, what's the one you want to go to? And then go there. If you're ever like in Texas and you want to know a good Mexican restaurant, just find one where all the Mexicans eat. There's a food truck here, man. You can see, like all the Mexicans are always hanging out there. I think these are actual Mexicans. I'm not like just stereotyping. And so I went there one time and oh my God, it was good. Like the best tacos I've ever had. People are afraid to hang out there and wait for contractors to come by and pick them up. Yep. And I can't help but wonder that probably does impact Home Depot's business too. All the cashiers have been replaced with self-checkout, which increases shrinkage, people shoplifting. My Walmart, they went to self-checkout and it was like all self-checkout, and now it's like no self-checkout because they had like the shrinkage costs were more expensive than the checkout people. I love other cultures as well. I find it so interesting. I just love people. I think any like I wouldn't even just end there. Like just talking to people and getting to know people. You talk to transgender people, and all your little issues with, if you have any, all your issues go away because you realize they're people. They're not transgender people. They are people who are transgender. They're just, you don't have Mexican people. You have people who are from Mexico. When you put the people before the adjective, then everybody's the same. They just have different experiences. And when you find out what those different experiences are, when you engage with those different experiences, every experience that somebody else has had, when you engage with those experiences and you learn from those experiences, they become a little part of you. You just become a bigger person. I love talking to people and getting to know people. They don't even have bags. At Lowe's. We know that what they thought, the debt service members. One family even spoke out and said that it wasn't true what Trump said. Wait until AI gets even better. So many lost jobs for people. It's funny now that it's like if you're looking for a job, you have AI will like help you with your resume, and then they'll rewrite your resume to fill this job description that was written by AI, and then you send in your resume, and then an AI reviews your resume. And then you get the job, maybe, and then your job is like evaluating the AI. We're just gonna, and Elon Musk is talking about how, we won't even have to work anymore. And it's like, okay, yeah, dude, you're the one that's a trillionaire who won't even, that's cutting food for children in Africa. And so it's like the tech billionaires just want to own everything, and then have everybody else be their slaves. When you're a wildlife photographer, you use, is that what you do? You're a wildlife photographer? You use the local guides. They teach you more than you know. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't find the animals. Dude, that sounds like an awesome, awesome job. What an amazing job. I have no eye for photography, but that sounds like just an amazing experience. The speech at Dover was embarrassing. Exactly, just cut your losses and leave. The Walter, was that the speech? Oh, Walter, was that the speech where he said the wife making love and going upstairs joke? Oh, I missed that. Oh, it's a big leap from mayor of New York for a few months to president. Yeah, I think we get too carried away with trying to make everybody president. I think I think that Mamdani is making it so that it's okay to be socialist to a degree. Like, it's taking the cuss word out of socialism. It's making people realize that maybe socialism is not what you've been. It's not the boogeyman that you've been raised to believe it was. I think it, I prefer calling it mixed capitalism, because that's more what it is. It's not, nobody in the DSA is advocating that, nobody own anything anymore. I drive through downtown Pittsburgh any day. I've lived in Atlanta, Chicago, and San Diego. There's no comparison. Driving in downtown Chicago can be frustrating. It's like you can go like 2 hours and get like 1 mile. I think, well, at least when I lived there. I don't know if it's gotten better. We haven't done enough lately. Amend the Constitution. I think we need to make some amendments to catch up. I think that's not a bad idea. I think we should have an amendment that says that the president of the United States can be prosecuted for any crimes they commit while in office. And just put that baby to rest. And I would even say that they must be prosecuted. I love Ossoff. Los Angeles is a nightmare to drive through. Los Angeles is like, you're talking about the whole Southern California area. It's like you can just basically spend an entire day going from one side of Southern California metro area to the other. Buttigieg is another one that would be awesome. I think AOC would be awesome. I think Andy Bashir. I like Andy Bashir. I still like Tim Walz. I'm looking forward to the debates and Kamala Harris. Don't forget about her. And Mark Kelly. I would love it if Mark Kelly got elected. And then anyway, prosecuted Pete Hegseth for war crimes. Speaking of elections, the Democrats have decided to eliminate Iowa caucus. That's the first election state. South Carolina primaries. Yeah, they still need to vote on that, and I agree. I think it's good. I think that's the right move, I think I don't like Iowa. I don't know why Iowa feels like it's entitled to be the first state all the time. Ossoff and Buttigieg 2028. Leaving MAGA voters still won't go Buttigieg because his orientation. I think what is one of the things about Ossoff that I think is sort of uniquely unifying is he is Jewish and he is pro-Palestinian. So I think that that is one of the major divides in the Democratic Party. It's like he is very much for Gaza's human rights and stuff like that, but he also advocates that Israel. He's a very strong supporter of a two-state solution, and defending Gaza's human rights. And so I think that he's one of the few people that can be able to carry both segments and not have them feel like they're giving anything up. They may have left MAGA, but they still wound tight the closet. Mark Kelly is good. This can be interpreted differently in my books. It doesn't say U.S. citizen. No, it says natural born American. Or natural born citizen. Doesn't say U.S. citizen. It says natural born citizen. And that's what I've been saying. And Ossoff and Buttigieg ticked either or would be an awesome ticket. Three Mile Island is actually reopening data centers. It needs power. During the American Revolution, George Washington was responsible for killing thousands and thousands of Native Americans because they were helping the British. George Washington had teeth made from did you know he had dentures made from slave teeth? You know what's sad? If they would have allowed black people to own their own land, growing crops, would have added to the economy, thus making the state stronger. Yep. AOC is out of her boyfriend's league. AOC has a boyfriend? Lucky guy. Oh, I didn't. So I guess his name is. I didn't even know. Oh, yeah. Well, Ray Roberts. Huh. Lucky guy. I think that people dismiss Pretty, but she's also very intelligent, and I really like her. I think she has a great chance to win. She has charisma. I think that is like Mamdani has charisma, and I think that is something we need. We need somebody with charisma. That's like the Pritzker. Pritzker lacks like real charisma. We need somebody that has real charisma. Like you have to want to like them. It pretty much evens out when you have tons of free labor, but I agree for the most part. It's just so unfortunate. They thought they were humans like us and lesser. We get tired of the friskies. Sometimes we get tired of the cats. ICE is disgusting. Socialism is the fire department showing up to put out your house on fire. Yes, to put out your house on fire. Capitalism is the insurance company denying your claim. On topic of Trump making, let's let him catch up. I'm getting I'm getting mocked for being behind now, on top of Trump making America less safe. You never go to Argentina if you're a vegan. Oh, we got, thank you. Oh, wow, we got more. We got clutch gems from Dizatra. YouTube. Oh, YouTube took away Brett's gems. I'm sorry. Here in Arizona, where it is 120 degrees today, you will not find a white person willing to do lawn care or HVAC work or paint a house in this heat. Mexican people don't, people evolved in this heat and know how to deal with it. I wouldn't, I don't even want to go into the attic in this summer. Trump and his white nationalist regimes are worse than anyone but the other most heinous. It's humid and hot in Florida right now. I wish he could go golfing. That's perfect weather for old fat people with cognitive heart failure. It's like, you ever just cheer for the catch up and just be like, come on, finish the job. Exactly. I just told someone who was glad about such massive deportations earlier. I was like, are you willing to do their job? You say that until you drive through Pittsburgh. Oh, and you have 8 lines with 5 different exits, 5 seconds to figure it out. That's just one part. It's a tiny city on a giant hill. At the dinner, Trump told a joke about a senator unable to walk upstairs and make love. Oh my goodness. It flopped horribly. Not one person laughed except Trump, and it was a creepy laugh. You've got to see. Trump is just so sociopathic. You can't say Mark Kelly is dumb. He's an astronaut, a military vet. Sounds good to me. Yeah, no, I think Mark Kelly is great. I was watching an interview with him, and what did he say? He was talking about Pete Hegseth in the military, and he said something like, DEI is not the problem in the military. The leadership is. And I was just like, that is a good quote. And it's like, so then people were like talking about, oh, you know, like sitting there trying to act like he was some sort of, you know, vagina, so to speak. Somebody called him a pejorative for that. And I'm just like, this dude has more combat. I think he flew more combat missions than anybody in the Gulf War. He's like been to outer space. He spent more time in outer space than anybody alive. And it's like, this is the guy who you're going to attack his manliness. I've driven through LA, Denver, Chicago, New York, and you have much more time to get into your lanes. Who's your favorite president of since I've been alive? Like of my lifetime? Obama. I really like. I think Clinton did a good job as president, but some of the sex stuff, like even like I feel like, you know, like even with, you know, like I don't think he should have been impeached. I think it was consensual, but I think looking at it back, you know, from now, I've learned since then. I should say I didn't at the time. I didn't think he should be impeached, but now I have more perspective on sexual harassment and power and stuff like that. And so I have real issues with that. With some of the sex stuff with Clinton. I don't think he, you know, participated in any of the pedophilia stuff with Epstein, but I think he did use his power to harass women. And I have real issues with that. Obama is like just he was intelligent. He pulled us out of the brink of another, like Great Depression. Practically, he saved the U.S. auto industry. He gave 30 million people health care. He restored the economy. He did all of that, being the first black president and being just the most elegant, kind, eloquent. I mean, just I absolutely admire Barack Obama. I don't agree with everything he did. I don't even agree with everything I do. But I think he is. I think of my lifetime, definitely the best president. Nowhere in Pittsburgh is there 8 lanes. You're talking about the Fort Pitt Bridge when you know what you're doing. It's very smooth and easy. People freak out, hit their brakes in the tunnel. They act like the tunnel doesn't have an opening. I have like so many double entendre jokes. Mine is Teddy Roosevelt. He loved animals and saving nature. He turned the White House into a petting zoo. Love Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, but with Teddy Roosevelt, there was the whole what was that called? The whole water cure. Look up Teddy Roosevelt and water cure. He was there's some really, really nasty torture stuff that he was behind. I think it's that I had, so that I have never learned too much history, because you'll never love your heroes. We need politicians about like AOC, Ossoff, and Buttigieg, because they are intelligent, not reactive. Right. And I would love to see, like, I would love to see conversations more than debates. Like, I want to have us have real conversations about things like immigration and how do we resolve our immigration issues. Not just how do we get rid of the illegals and, like the racist, nonsensical stuff. But how do we amend and repair our immigration system so that we can have people immigrate to do jobs that Americans don't want to do, to where they're vetted and have a real chance to come over here and become citizens. AOC's boyfriend is just a random dead bod doof. Dad bod. That's kind of hilarious, actually. Her boyfriend looks like, I was thinking that, Jim. I was trying to think, who does he look like? He looks like that dude from it's Jim Gaffigan. He's the guy from Bachelor. Bachelor Party. Complete failure as Secretary of Transportation, only replaced by an even worse one. I don't know how do you figure he was a failure? I think he got blamed for a lot of stuff that, like, he became a target, and I think we have to be careful that we don't conflate being criticized for things that he had nothing to do with actual failures. He became a target because he's gay. Trump is a malignant narcissist. A nice young man. 2 lanes from the okay, boy. Okay. Obama, okay, comrade. Yeah, see, you don't read much, do you? MAGA hiring so many unqualified personnel in the military literally is their idea of Dems DEI. Yep. How about when Trump attacked John McCain, saying he doesn't like loser who caught in war? That man was a hero. He refused to leave when freed until the rest of the POWs left with him. That made me so mad. I love how Pete hires his brother and fires everybody. I mean, the idea that Um, when they talk about, I'm just closing some tabs here because I have opened too many and I think my browser is getting too full. All right. All right. So, all right, that's better. I think my lifetime, it was definitely Clinton and Obama, but my favorite president of all time is definitely Teddy Roosevelt. What I've learned anything about Roosevelt, he wasn't involved. Kid Rock and RFK need to do a shirtless workout video in the same room for Grindr. Obama was loved by the world, even though he did not tell NATO countries that they had to increase their military spending. I expected Pete Hegseth to be on late night TV selling men's supplements with Frank Thomas and Doug Flutie. That's a good line. It was the man. TR and Abe Lincoln are my two favorites. I graduated from Penn State with a history and poli-sci dual major, and I'm gonna really have to look into this Teddy Roosevelt torture thing. Yeah, it was the Philippine War. They would take a garden hose and they'd like pour water into, like, just turn it on and flood their stomachs with water, and then they would stomp on their stomachs to torture them, and sometimes they would die or they would just like vomit, and it was like apparently incredibly painful thing. And Teddy Roosevelt was president while this was going on, and apparently he knew about it, and it was controversial then. But it's one of those things we don't teach in high school because we don't want to ruin stuff. I think there were a lot of things about Teddy Roosevelt that were really good. Teddy Roosevelt was the first one to talk about public utilities. He was the first one to institute public education. He wanted to institute public health care. In a lot of ways, Teddy Roosevelt was socialist, but don't tell Republicans that because he was socialist before they talked about socialism. But if you ran on Teddy Roosevelt's platform today, they would call you a socialist. Yeah, there is. It broke my heart too because I always thought Teddy Roosevelt was awesome, and it's just one of those things where it's there were some flaws. FDR had some flaws with racism, and with black GIs when they came back from the war did not get the same deals that the white GIs did, and that's one of the reasons that right now there's this wealth gap. All the white GIs were able to get these housing loans and stuff like that. Black GIs weren't, and then that's why they didn't get the same wealth to hand down. So, respectfully speaking, how many hours a day do you spend in the stream? Usually around 3 or 4. Depending on how much work I have to do. I know they did that, filled their stomachs with water, but they started that before he was ever president. But they did it while he was president too, and he didn't end it. He was part of the flipping of the Republican Party to what the Democratic Party is today. Yep. I tend to try to start around 2 on weekdays, depending on if I have some other kind of work to do or not, and depending on how I'm feeling. I'm not a fan of FDR for that very reason. I think, it's like a lot of the people from our history, like Thomas Jefferson, had some good things, but he also raped a prepubescent girl and had children with her. That he owned her and stuff like that, and he kept his own children as slaves until he died, and then he freed them. Didn't free them while they were still alive. While he was still alive. So yeah, I have problems with Thomas Jefferson. I think I think that like what I respect about with Obama, what I respect about with Obama is that the lack of negatives as well as the abundance of positives. Like he he is a good family man. Like he never cheated on his wife. He never had any, drug issues or anything like that. He never like he it's almost like you have to be perfect to be the first black president. If there were things on him, like they said there, oh well, he went to this, he was a terrorist or whatever, like there's the racist stuff. But I mean, he wasn't just a good president. He is a good man. One thing more horrible that humans do to each other, but they all claim to be Christians or another religion. Yeah. And they use that to justify it. FDR had a huge ego. I also believe he could have prevented Pearl Harbor. I have viewed this stream many times. I don't interact as often as I would like. Can I ask you, so what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a writer. I'm a technical writer. Right now, I'm kind of looking for work, which is why I have more time to be on here. It's a hard time to be a technical writer because AI is taking all the work away. So I tend to, like, I end up getting these jobs with Mercor, but they're kind of mercurial, huh? Where it's like I'll get work for a couple of weeks and then it'll go away, and then it keeps me kind of hopping around. I make some social media income. But mostly I'm a writer, and I guess you could say a content creator. That reminds me, Andrew Tate's girlfriend, if you go back to 2012, at the time the relationship started, that makes her only 14. He's cooked. What is wrong with people? How do you as a grown man even think about dating somebody that's 14? I have actually had the privilege of knowing many presidents in my lifetime, in my life personally, because of my family and business. But all men are humans. I'm a Democrat. Reagan and Obama, good man. I met Obama before he was ever president. I was in college at the University of Minnesota, and they had the first president of the Black Harvard, or the first Black president of the Harvard Law Review. Was how they introduced him, which is, how years later, I was certain that's who I was taught, that it was the same person. But he spoke, he was eloquent, and he was commanding, and he was just so insightful. And I went, and he had some time to ask questions if you wanted to go and talk to him later. And so I went, and this was right when the savings and loan scandal was going on. And so I asked him about it, and I was just like, how can there be this be so blatantly wrong and still not have any laws against it? And he said, you have to understand that there's the difference between the wrong things poor people do and the wrong things rich people do. The wrong things poor people do are illegal because they protect the rich people from the poor people. The wrong things rich people don't do aren't illegal because the rich people make the laws, and the rich people and the poor people are the victims. Something like that. Like, it was just like, whoa. I mean, like that was really something. Like that, ever since then, I've thought, just totally reconstructed my way of how we view things like congressional pay and stuff like that. We need to make it so that you don't have to be rich to be a lawmaker. Because as long as you have to be rich to be a lawmaker, the rich people the laws will always favor the rich people. That's what he was getting at. And I was just like thinking about that, and so I walked. I was like late meeting a friend for lunch, And he's like, what happened? And I was like, sorry, I'm late. I stayed to see a guest speaker. I think I just met the first black president. And so this was in 1994 that I met him and talked to him. And my impression upon meeting him was that he was going to be the first black president. And I ended up being right. So cool story, true story, but I think a cool story. See, what I read about Jefferson is that when writing the Constitution, he wanted to put an end to slavery in the Constitution. And Franklin said North Carolina wouldn't sign it and then ratify if they ended it. But I think I think that sometimes we also tend to look at people as all one way or another. That might be true, but he did not end up freeing his slaves after that. Like, he still had slaves. So Eleanor Roosevelt flew with the airmen. That's cool. In the original Constitution. 14, they call it jailbait for a reason. Yes. That's what I saw in the entire 5 hours PNS documentary about Franklin on PBS, but no, who knows, LOL. I've seen and read so many different stuff in our history of that time. And every history book is filtered through the historian and what their perspective is. All I know is that the writings of Thomas Paine are very good. They're kind of a pain to read, though. Bah. Sorry. Yeah, I've got to go too, Brett. Hi, as well. Met with President Obama when he was just beginning to go to law school, actually. He was a pretty good guy, and then he continued to grow in his love and his stature. I'm sorry, I meant South Carolina went silent. For you to simplify it by saying poverty is the opposite of justice. Interesting. That's a good expression. I played stickball with with Ronald Reagan with the streets of Union City, New Jersey, where I lived in 1965. He was entering into the government, I think at the time as governor of California. He was really cool. Interesting. I'm not a big fan of his policy. I think that the whole trickle-down thing it like devastated the country for like still having negative effects. But I think as a person, I don't think I think he was sincere. Like I think he thought what he was doing is right, but I disagree with his policy, but not his person. But to say poverty is opposite of justice mocks the word justice. Just actions. Richard Nixon was a very, very good friend of mine. He actually brought me with him on his trip to China. Wow. He would have to free them if the Constitution originally said. Right, but if he was really against slavery, then he'd like the Constitution didn't have to say that for him to free them. So if it was a principle, then he could have freed them whether or not it said that. Okay, Brett's got to run. I and Gerald Ford didn't like each other. I didn't trust him. He didn't like me. And I gave him nothing in support, or did my family. I briefly met Gerald Ford when I was a little boy. I was my dad was stationed at Milton Hall Air Force Base in England, and he and Henry Kissinger came through there. My mom was a big fan of Henry Kissinger at the time, but that was before we knew about Cambodia and all that. Just FYI, it's not necessary for you to sign your comments. Your name appears as your username ahead of your comments. This is true. Rights of Men is great, but people actually wrote well and were intelligent back then. Thomas Paine was a pain. Okay, supply side economics is a scam. The idea that the problem with the country is that rich people don't have enough money because poor people are hogging it all is like one of those things that should be innately understood to be like just obviously wrong. And money trickles up, not down. Oh, it certainly does trickle up. Every time you spend money, a percentage of that goes to the owner. So like you go to McDonald's, right? And you buy a hamburger, the owner of that franchise gets a cut of the money, but then the franchise owner has to give McDonald's a cut of the money. So money trickles up. It doesn't trickle down. It trickles up. I think we've got 40 years of documented economic history to prove that. It absolutely trickles up. Keynesian economics, what the Democrats use. Why every time a Democrat is in office, the economy is good when they leave, and every time a Republican is in office, it's terrible when they leave, and so on. All right, so I'm caught up. Before we get on this economic debate, Walter is a Reagan Republican. So this would be this could turn into a very long and very good discussion, but I've got to pee, so I'm gonna end here. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for the gems, guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Hope you have a good evening.